I'm sitting here working on a newsletter this afternoon. I just put a promo up on a Facebook a few minutes ago, but sitting there playing with the newsletter just just a little bit. I've got some precautions about what I can do and I can't do, and attention span is about that small. So, but it's nice to get back in. I'm looking at all the stuff we got this week. I mean, Enzo Palladino and Howard King, and I got some beautiful stuff in from Doug and you other guys, and it's just I'm seeing some beautiful work, and it all goes into what I refer to as the newsletter, and it's just an art collection of what comes into our Facebook page. So if you've got a piece you turned and you have multiple images of it, I really like that multiple image thing. You don't see it all in one snap.
Right.
Turn it a little bit. Look above the. I even like to see the bottoms. That's a challenge. You know that because only wood turners look at the bottom to see how it came out. And the only wood turners reach around inside to see if the inside's finished.
Right.
And if the top goes, wood turn is finished. Or as Doug Miller's stuff, it just falls open. There's no real no real snap. But take multiple images of it, put them on a Facebook. Doesn't cost you anything. At least I hope you're not paying for it.
Right.
But it's Facebook groups, and you find Worldwide Wood Turners, and you go to our page and you upload those things, and tell us a little something about the piece when you put it up, because the other folks are sitting around just like I am saying, what is that, and how did he hold it? What kind of finish is it? And just how big is it? And I've seen a couple of folks where I've seen it something sit next to it and say, what the heck is that? And you zoom in, and it's a picture of a dime, and the dime's almost as big as the entire piece he turned. So, oh, okay. That's a challenge. But it's not an opportunity to brag. It's an opportunity to show abilities and throw out challenges. I like that. I like that idea. That's why I like when I belonged to a walk-in club. Is the gallery, and the part I liked about the gallery most was just to go up and see somebody's work, and they put a little card there and say what it was and how it was done. What I didn't like, and we don't do that at this club, we don't do a critique. We don't have anybody that thinks they're God mighty and they can say, oh, what I like about this, but there's a no but guarantee. We have that no but guarantee thing. And that's a positive thing. Yes, Kent, that's exactly it. We don't have anybody that can go this or this on any piece that's ever turned and shown on his club. There's nobody. If you know somebody that thinks they're qualified, fire them. Because that's just it. I want to see what you do. It all comes out of right here. It all does. If it comes from these on your machine with your mind and your skills and your technique and your ideas, it's yours. Who the hell am I to tell you that it's not this, or I should do that, or maybe I should try this, or maybe I should try that? If you ask me straight out, do you think I'd put burn lines on this and improve it? 9 out of 10 times I'd tell you, yeah. Right up to the point where it'll look all smoky. But embellishments. I mean, we've got some folks like Birdhouse Bob that's absolutely nuts with his embellishing cutters, his Sorbian embellishing thing, and a couple others. And we have some guys that really do great with embellishment done with plastic and wire and metal and other woods. I saw one on YouTube yesterday. Guy was turning a miniature cowboy hat. It copied what he saw on the Campbell's workshop last week that was up in Michigan, where Matt Harbor and all those other people gathered and had a ball. I mean, I saw them together. They had a ball because you couldn't plan to have that much fun, so they just had a ball. But they gathered and they did a miniature cowboy hat. Now, if you ever thought it's a miniature cowboy hat, no. What goes into that miniature cowboy hat goes into the full size cowboy hat, but it's just multiplied. And if it was a cowboy hat, it is a piece of wet wood. If you're not moist from spray when you're turning it, you're not turning a hat because it's no matter what it is, it's got to be wet. And that's the nature of the critter. You're turning it from a rough shape to an extremely thin shape. One time, one move, one stroke. You go from, you say soup to nuts. You rough this thing in with your heavy gear, and you find it with your fine gear all at the same time. Yeah, I learned from Hannes Mikkelsen, and Hannes is a character, and he's kind of hard to follow, but he's refined his technique a lot. When I saw him, he was a wild man. I toned him down a little bit, but we went from making rough cuts to something that was less than the thickness of the back of a paper tablet in just a few cuts. And that's how fast we had to walk in to put a finished cut on a piece to get this hat going. And you went from really an 80-pound block of wood to something that weighed about 3 pounds in the span of an hour and a half. And then add another hour and a half, and you were down to something that weighed less than a Stetson that came off the shelf the same size. But you did all that with wet wood one time. There was no double turn and no triple turn, no going back. When you made a pass over that edge and finished that out, you came across it with he liked this Mark Soleil type sharpened fingernail gouge. They had a little eagle beak type cutter on it that you were just barely cutting on it, the tip of that, to get a fine cut. And it's a great cut. And you just make that little wispy cut. And that was gonna be it. You were doing wet wood, and you were really hoping you didn't spin all the moisture out of it. You made that fine cut. And if you got lucky, you might get to wipe it with a little bit of sandpaper. You might get to. If you wiped it too much, you were going to dry it out. Then it was going to move to where you could never touch it again. But all the work went into that miniature cowboy hat. They put into this cowboy hat. And then when it was still on the lathe, drying rapidly now, because you have to, now with LED lights, you don't have as much drying effect from incandescents and stuff. And I've got everything I have is lit up with LEDs back there. You don't have a drying out from the incandescent, but you still got to keep moisture on it. Still got to keep it wet. And then you get a couple of blocks of hardwood, good hardwood. Now you can't do ebony, but you can do bloodwood. And you can, ash works nice for one. And if you got something dark, Coca-Cola won't trace off, but something else that'll trace off. I mean, trace off is when you burn it in. It doesn't burn, but it transfers the grain or the grit of the material from one to the other. And the moisture being lost creates the friction you need, and you get a transfer. Those embellishing things they're fun to play with, and they don't come out solid. they stay pretty much semi-transparent. How you get that? And when you finish them, you don't touch them. You spray a sealer over them or a lacquer over them or whatever, but you want them to look like they're just fuzzy on top. It's like the hat man on your hat. And there's so many things you can do. That's why I'd really like to make a Campbell strip, because those folks sat around, they carved, they weaved, they did super thin stuff, they turned, they held all kinds of stuff. And what you had was a symposium with almost no rules. The rule was come turn, have fun, and show off your stuff and share. That's a good symposium. That's good. If you got to stick by a rule and say we have to have this, and we have to do that, and we have to meet this, and we have to meet that, sometimes you're getting a little bit too much in line. That's why I love SWAT when it comes up in 8 weeks. Is their lines are a little bit wavy, except the chow line. It's straight, and don't cut into it. Whatever you do, don't cut into the chow line at SWAT. Been nice knowing you if you do. They won't provide a wheelchair, but they have a wavy little line because when it was created, it was a Texas Turner too. It was just a bunch of folks got together and turned. And this is 31, 32 clubs. I'd like to get invited as a club that would be a member of SWAT. I think it'd be an honor for us to be part of that group that puts that on, because it's okay. Sorry, note from Fearless Leader. I was almost excited. Thought it said she's leaving. But that's what I like about going to SWAT. And you folks are going to be there. We're going to have a great time. We really are. Yes, thank you, boss. So, who's been turning this week? Somebody's got to pop up here and show me what they're turning. We're going to go to gallery time. Oh, who's on deck tonight?
Oh, we have Joaquin from North Carolina on tap for tonight.
All right. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, he's got a really cool project he's going to be doing tonight.
I'm looking at some of the stuff he put up a gallery on a Facebook page. He's got some ideas. Brenda said she's got a Band-Aid to show.
No, Doug Miller does.
Oh, I saw Brenda saw Band-Aid. And I locked them together, Brenda.
Yeah.
Just lock them together. So I see a lot of our regulars, and folks, if you're a new member or you're just joining us, welcome. Everybody's invited. There's enough room on this tailgate for the whole crowd. We brushed off a new spot because we got a whole bunch of new members this week. Kent gives us a little update on the AAW's Women in Turning. It has a grant to help fund promotions, etc. That information's in our chat tonight. Chat is open block. Chat is open block, whereas we do not restrict or control what happens in chat. That is a free forum. Whereas you have an event coming up, you have an IRD happening, your club's got a meeting that is available by Zoom or internet or whatever, put that information in our chat. Our webmaster, the fantastic Dave Rhodes, puts that on our website for everybody to share. And it is the world's greatest wood turning website, hands down, none better. So that's why we have chat. It's right there. And we have no sponsorships. We don't permit sponsorships or advertisements. So IRDs are permitted to go there because that's not a sponsorship, that's information. if you got something to show in a gallery tonight, throw it in there. I mean, I know Miller's got stuff. I mean, he's been turning all week. He's got to have things this week.
I do.
Yep, that he does.
And a Band-Aid to prove it.
Yeah.
Is that a Band-Aid?
No,
How-
Band-Aids are all gone.
Band-Aids are going. All right.
Band-Aids were last week.
Dave's gonna put you on the Band-Aid brigade list, though.
Right.
Yeah. I can't be there by myself.
Well, Doug, let's see it.
Okay. Let me see what I can do. Get myself arranged here so I can show you guys what a couple of things I've been working on. Not sure when it was. I guess it was last Thursday. I was doing a live. Brenda, the one that blew up was Tuesday a week. But this past Thursday, I was doing a live and came out with this one. Nice little cherry bowl, about a 6-inch piece, 6 inches by 2.5 thereabouts. And the cherry, this was a limb that was brought to me. I didn't know how wet or dry it was. God, a lot of glare on it. But anyway, turns out it was quite wet. So on the bottom side, the base has stayed nice and flat, but the top across the where the pith was, you can
I
see
see
it's
the hook.
got
Yeah.
the pith there, but it raises up there, and on the other side, the pith is actually in it. You can see it there, and it has raised up. And it's got just a slightest little crack right there. So I'm going to wait another week or so, and I'll probably take this one to the disc sander and sand that off, so it's nice and flat to the whole rim. A friend of mine, some of y'all may know him, Bruce Jordan, Jordan's Woodworks. He extended a challenge for the month of June. Challenge was yo-yos. And so being the lazy sort I am, I didn't completely turn my yo-yo. I went and got a kit, but I turned a Coco Bolo, the 2 Coco Bolo discs for it. So I've got a nice Coco Bolo yo-yo with bearing axles in there. I've got to press it together just a little tighter, try to get some grip on that bearing. It's a little too, it's too loose. So anyway, turned around, and yesterday I did another live for someone else, their spot, and decided I'd turn a little piece of pear. And this is more along the line of something Cade Bulger would do, little bird's mouth. And
It is.
I wasn't happy with just leaving it brown, so we put a little sky blue on the inside, and that's got
That's
several
pretty.
coats of lacquer in there. It's still got a little. I need to do a little more buffing on it, and maybe another couple coats of lacquer. But it's just something different. Instead of coloring the outside, I colored the inside just to be different. Again, with a pretty nice shape there. It's fairly even as far as the wings go. One of them might be a little less than 1/8 of an inch higher than the other one, but they're pretty close. There are a couple of bug trails going through it. They show up on the inside as well, but even with the dye in it, you don't see them quite as much. But I'm real happy, and you can see it. You got the blue, but there's also the color of the wood came through a little bit on the inside, and so it's not solid blue. You have some modeling there and some variation in the color. So anyway, that's what I've been doing this week.
Nice.
Got a little bit
Very
done.
good, Doug.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Looks good.
Go to Brenda.
Like it.
Hey, well, I've had some trouble with bowls lately.
No.
The time I've talked to you guys, I mentioned that my bowls kept flying off the lathe. And a couple of you mentioned you need to take a step back, do something more that you're more comfortable with doing. So I finally did that. So I made this week a new set of measuring spoons.
There you go.
That's nice.
And
Those are
these are
nice.
made out of, I don't want to make something that's too hard to duplicate, you know? So I just made them straight, well, not really straight, but kind of in a little bit bigger in the middle, come down in
Right.
the end. And then to make them a little different, put one line, one groove in that one, two grooves in that one, three grooves in that one, and four grooves in the bigger one. Now,
Very
another
nice.
real special about these is the wood are oak from a church pew that I got from Doug Miller.
I was gonna say, I wonder where you got that from.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
cool.
And of course, I finished them with Parfex and then buffed them and waxed them. So
Very good.
that's what I did this week. And without a Band-Aid. Oh, I also used the skew.
Awesome.
And
You did the final cuts on that on the skew?
I did the whole thing from start to finish with a skew.
Okay, here's the
Outstanding.
order. Get out of here. Really? That is
Got a
awesome.
new spindle worker.
That is really good.
And no Band-Aids.
Yeah.
It's like bringing your block plane to the lathe, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
learn how to run it, it's like bringing your block plane and just going right to it.
Right.
I got in so much trouble with a student one night when I picked up a little 6-inch block plane. They said, let me show you how this goes across on a block to do a dressing cut. And he said, but it's a plane. I said, yeah, but I want you to understand what's going to happen. But it's a plane. I said, yep. And I want to take the 4-plate out of it and show you something. I pulled the 4-plate out and we just made about 3 or 4 passes. Said, that's what your skew does. And when you get over the fear of that tool and what that blade does, you're past it. Just get over the fear of it.
Mhm.
Right.
And my original technique of teaching was always bring the speed down. How slow? How slow can you turn it and still hold the tool? How slow can you get somebody else to turn it and still hold the tool? One of my buddies, my best friend in the world, I was trying to teach him how to turn again because he lost some use of his hands. And we put a barbecue pit rotisserie drive on a mini jet. And I worked all weekend to get that thing rigged up and put on the lathe. I went over there and he said, that is stupid. And he was pretty coarse to me. And I said, okay, put a block of wood in there and we turned the pull handle on it. It took forever to turn that pull handle, but it came out like it was right out of the box. I mean, he was making these slicing cuts. And he said, look at this, look. Oh, wait. I picked the handle up. I said, I told you, quit moving your arms. Oh, well, how do you do this? And we had a ball. I spent the whole day out there. Probably one of the hottest days. And he had a storage container where his storage when this stuff was. That was like getting in a sauna bath. But we slowed it down. You got to watch that cutter make those cuts. And there's a whole lot of turners out there that turn the speed up and you get there. When you know what it cuts, turn the speed up, you'll get there. But until you know what that blade does, leave it alone.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Let's
I
go to Dave Kingsley.
Where's
Sorry, Eddie.
where's the little one?
Oh, he went home.
Oh, no.
No, he was here till about 5. I have him from 6:30 in the morning until about 5 every night.
Oh, my.
Oh, I'm having a blast. But I got in the shop this week and the bottom is maple and the finial is cherry.
I like that crisp, sharp edge when you open it up.
Nice, Dave.
Oh, thank you.
It's
Yes.
nice, crisp. the
Beautiful.
crispness of that inside edge. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm getting better.
I like the
It's,
top best.
Clean lines.
Beautiful, but
thank
I
you.
love that top.
Yeah, well, I've been
Very
doing
nice
some,
shade, Doug.
some embellishment lately, and I prefer a good clean line, to be honest with you.
Beautiful.
And just a plain, very plain bottom. But that's all I got a
Nice.
chance to do this week, because I've been busy with a little guy.
You really like that
Almost
top.
there.
I see the top on your back on your left. Another container right behind you with that.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's walnut and the top is ebony. But that's what I did a month or so ago.
Mhm.
Nice accent.
But yeah. But
Very
it doesn't
good.
have, it's not quite there yet, but I'm getting better. That's all I can hope
Yes, you
for.
are.
Keep having
Yes,
fun.
you are.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Ron. Vincent.
I'm here. First of all, I've got my Canon. The
I
wheels
saw that.
actually turn on it. It's a Revolutionary War style cannon.
Cool.
Because
Very
today's
nice,
supposed to
Ron.
be Cannon Day. And then I have a walnut log. With a crotch. And rather than do it conventionally, I made two out of it.
Oh
you
my
go.
goodness.
That is a bottom bowl. And the other half, I did the top.
That's
Oh,
Not only
nice.
is it just two
Neat.
bowls, different styles from the same log. Let me get it over here.
Very slick.
yeah.
Nice job, Ron.
What's the finish, Ron?
Lacquer, spray lacquer.
Nice.
So rather than just use one log and use it all up, I thought, well, we'll do it differently. We'll make two pieces out of it.
Right? Yeah, I don't blame you.
All I
Good
had.
idea.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, I
That-
did get
That
Man
was
Harbor.
gorgeous. That was gorgeous. Oh my. What an
Yeah.
idea. What an idea.
I think he was going to say something else. What else?
Was that the California outlaw that jumped in there?
No, it was me. I just said I got a chance to meet Matt Harbor personally. He was up at Rod Campbell's retreat. So I drove, it's only like 20 miles away from me. So I drove up there and actually got to meet him now.
Wow.
Good.
Very good.
I
You
saw a
seen with his
picture of one of
girlfriend?
the. I saw, with his girlfriend. I might have
with his
started a
girlfriend?
fire. I might have started a fire with that one. Him and
Well,
Rebecca.
I got to meet her too, but she's been to our club before and did a demo. So I
Yeah.
already had met her before. So
Okay.
I saw a picture of one of their lunches where they had about 25 or 30 of them get together at the Hog Pot or something like that. I like the name of a restaurant. It's just called the Hog Pot. It's bottom line.
oh yeah.
My wife went
They-
out to lunch yesterday. I'm not permitted to go in the restaurants. She came back, she says, I went to this place that you could never go to, and she showed me the menu. And it was awesome. It was the greatest looking barbecue place. It was like the one on a circle up there in Waco, to where you probably need a cardiologist halfway through the serving line. It's got everything this and pork and fried and greased and baked down hard. And she says, hey, we can never go there. No, honey. You can never go there. If you're not watching, I'm sneaking over there. It's only 6.2 miles. 6.2 miles. And I can travel to Levy to get there. But it's finding it, and in New Orleans, finding good barbecue is almost impossible. So these guys, they might have it going on. We used to have a Luther's here. Luther's was based out of Houston, I believe. And it was pretty good. But slowly but surely, the cliche restaurants have taken their places. And that's just, we don't know where the good cooking goes.
Right.
All right.
Let's
Hey,
go
we
to
have,
let's go to our webmaster here.
who's that?
Dave.
There he is. The webmaster.
I decided that I was going to do something, so I.
Look at that.
Cool.
Nice, Janet.
And I'm gonna show something else. It's not exotic, like everybody else does. It's made out of redwood. And the reason I'm showing it in particular is, thank you. A few weeks ago, we had discussions on how to do this. And I've been avoiding using recess because it always flies off or breaks. And after the explanations, I finally got the courage to do it the right way. I decided I'm never going to do them again without a recess. It works so much better.
Outstanding.
When you get the
Great.
math right, and it's the math, when you get the math right and you understand the profile of the chuck is as important as anything else, then you got it. Yeah, it's, and you need a template. You need a template.
Nice job on that, Dave.
That's beautiful. What kind of
Nice
finish do you
job.
have on it?
Pardon me?
What kind of finish do you have on it?
Oh, I just got some sealer and some wax. Sealer and wax.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, we will know who does the housekeeping if you pop the cannon off.
My wife
Right.
just did it earlier. And I thought it was funny because that was the first thing she wanted to do. Test and see if it worked.
Yeah. Well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Hey, Howard,
Ruh-roh.
you're up.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
We got you, sir.
Is it getting hot where you are?
It's been
Yes.
Will be tomorrow.
I tell you, it's so hot. I saw a fire hydrant chasing a dog down the road. But anyway, it's supposed to get hotter, so I guess the fire hydrant's really going to be ganging up on those dogs tomorrow. So, but anyway, I got a piece of maple here that
Oh, man.
I did some carving and beating around on and dyeing and stuff like that. So,
Dang.
Gorgeous.
so I think I was trying to overlay circles on top of circles, but what I should have done is just make complete circles everywhere, you know.
I don't know. It looks good, Howard.
I love
fancy
it.
looking
Oh,
colander.
don't break it.
Did before you dropped it.
It'll nearly float. It'll nearly float. Well, it wouldn't float in water. It just
Yeah, I
sank.
don't think that's gonna float.
No. I don't think I'd go down Titanic in this thing. So anyway, I put clear enamel on it, sprayed clear enamel. What is that noise?
Somebody's planing wood.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought my wife was maybe doing something. But anyway, well, that's what I got.
Very good, Howard. Nice
Very
job.
nice.
I thought I had
All
another
right.
photograph of one that Howard did just like that with a lot of detail in it. I don't have it up where I can get to it, but
You mean this? You mean this one?
that's the one.
That's
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Don't move it so fast, Howard. Thanks. Yeah, oh, perfect. That way we can see it. It looks pretty.
Very nice.
Isn't that
Good.
great?
All right, let's go over to Kentucky and see what Mr. Bray's got. Greg? There he is.
Yeah, let's, I've been turning about all week. Something every day. Here's one thing I've turned.
Oh,
Pretty.
Nice.
Can somebody find that mic and mute him, please?
Trying to right now.
And then on the back side. And this one here is it's 13 inches across. And then I did a platter.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw the pictures you posted on those. They're outstanding.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Curly maple.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Got a ton of it. And then I got to messing around with these.
Aw.
Looks great.
Yeah.
But you can't see the color on them. I don't know.
Yeah, light's behind you. You need to get it in front of you.
That helps. Nice
Yeah.
green.
Those are pretty.
Very nice.
Yes.
And this one here is
How thin do you have them?
oh, they're about a
About
16.
that thin? About
About a
that
six-
thin?
About a 16. Of course, this one here is natural.
Ooh, I like the green.
Yes.
And then I've been turning, I don't have one in here, but I've been turning finials for this guy who makes clocks. And I got about 48 of those turned.
Oh my.
I stay busy.
That you do. That you do.
That's,
Thanks,
that's all I have.
All right, let's go and see Mr. Johnson. Howard Johnson, come to the front.
How are we?
Talk to us a little bit, sir.
Well, the local club had a challenge for the month. And they wanted us to turn a oval box. Well, I had got some elm and I decided, well, I'll go ahead and turn it. And they wanted a sphere for a lid. And so I turned that and there it is inside and out.
Oh,
Oh my
nifty.
goodness.
Hmm. And here, I wanted to add a little humor to it. I don't know if you can read that again, but that says Aunt Maisie's Hog Fat Shampoo makes hair shine. And down here it says from the best hogs.
Really?
Yeah,
Cute.
And on the back, I've got it, it says Aunt Maisie's shampoo is rendered from the finest hog fat on her back porch by Aunt Maisie herself, using a proprietary process that produces a shampoo that will leave your hair shiny, manageable, and soft. And it says Aunt Maisie guarantees it. So anyway,
That is awesome.
I thought it would be nice just to, we'll have that meeting tomorrow night. And I thought, well, hey, why not throw a little humor in the mix, So
Right.
Love it.
this is black locust with a small purple heart knob on top, so that you can lift it in and out. But I'm gonna brag too. I did this whole thing with a skew. So
outstanding.
Nice.
and sanded it down some, but yeah, I even did a sphere with a skew too. So
Ooh.
anyway,
That is
Well done.
awesome.
like a year or so ago, I got playing around with some epoxy coating, and there was a challenge that's made just to make a small hollow form. So I said I just went ahead and glued. They had to make it out of some sort of building material, so I glued several layers of OSB together, turned and made this little hollow form, and then blackened it and then got some white and embellishing wax and put on it, and then put epoxy on it to make it nice and shiny.
That is beautiful.
Shine. That is beautiful.
And yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. I'm really
Yes, it did.
So anyway,
I wonder if that spear fits on top of that.
well, we can see. How about that?
Look at that.
Anyway,
Wait.
one other thing, and I really went hog wild on some things, but here, this,
I like that.
Oh,
this is a large urn that I made, and I also,
Listen for it. Listen for it. Here it comes. Here it comes.
and,
The top one.
and
There it is.
let's see, and it's made out of walnut, I think. It's a walnut. It's got lots of cracks in it. You notice cracks? But I think that gives it character myself, those cracks.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, there's the inside.
Man, that shine. God.
Well,
Epoxy, I like epoxy. I've got a gizmo that you mount it to, and it turns it real slow, about 10 RPM. Such that you can put the epoxy on it and it won't drip. It'll just stay pretty much where it's at. But I've got several pieces that's got epoxy on it. I just wanted to show a couple of them to kind of show how it really puts a nice shining finish on everything, and gives it good depth too. You know, you look at it and it looks like the wood is several inches down below the surface. But anyway,
Right. Yeah, it gives it depth.
Yep.
Yes. That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
How do you finish the bottom, Howard?
The bottom, what I do is I'll take this off, just that, and then I'll spray lacquer on it to give it that coating.
Yeah, that's okay. But that's an easier way to do it.
Yeah, that way I don't, I'll mask all this off. That way I don't get any overspray on it, you know, and that way the bottom comes out real nice. My little coins that I make. I don't know if you can see them or not, but anyway, there they are. That's it. So anyway, thanks a lot for letting me show.
Look nice.
Very nice.
Right on. Thanks, Howard.
You bet.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Duxbury. Hey, Jim.
Ooh, I was thinking of getting some of that shampoo myself, you know, after I saw that.
Hank Macy guarantees it.
Oh, yeah.
I've used it. Look at the sheen I have. I mean,
You got it. That stuff looks pretty good. I made one piece. This is Bloodwood. 3 centers. I made 6 of these today or this week, but it's been hot and humid here, and can't get the doggone lacquer to dry, so they're all out there drying.
How'd you do the spirals, the rings?
So that's laid out. This is one center on the outside of here. This is a 1-inch ring, the center of that. And this whole pattern is shifted this way 1/4 of an inch. And on the other side, the pattern shifted this way 1/4 of an inch. So that rib goes through the center of that other ring.
What tool did you use to do that?
A good sharp, narrow parting tool. Turned pretty fast. This was square. I put screws in here. This is screwed to a faceplate. So I could shift this around or up and down wherever I wanted.
That's amazing. Good job. I really like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I hope that 1-inch ring and the 1/2-inch offset helps me out a lot.
Oh, I've shown these before. This is a serpentine cut. This is a river birch, probably a 12-inch bowl. And there's about 47 things you have to do to make this work. And if you only do 46 of them, the cutter goes right through the middle of the bowl. So I thought I'd show this. My wife's going to try and fix it, but there's no way to fix it. I don't fix things. They either work or they go in the rubbish. That's it. Brent, before this whole thing happened, you were talking about making hats. I've probably shown these before, but when you're making hats, you make this. These are size 34, and I'll tell you, that's a bugger to make.
Have you tried it on there, Jim?
I haven't tried it on. It should fit. It should fit. But the human body, that's not just 2 holes in a bowl. your legs come out of the front of the underwear. And
Right.
the whole thing is like the crotch is bent this way and it's flat this way. So that has to be bent. And it started out a fun afternoon, but I'll tell you that you won't see another one of those for a while.
That's just a great piece. Just beautiful.
Thank you much.
I mean, if you try to make a hat, oh yeah, well, we understand exactly what you're saying.
Well,
Wow.
the hat's got a crown. Hat's probably 8 inches in diameter.
It doesn't have a hole.
But the hat's probably 8 inches in diameter and probably 5 inches high. But this is almost 12 inches in diameter and probably 10 inches high. And it gets flopping around pretty good out there. And to get a nice cut on it, you have to work your way in. Anyway.
So Jim, when are you gonna make a bra?
No, but I have a hat to match. I have a poplar hat to match it. So anyway, that's it for me.
Right on. Thanks, Jim.
Very good.
All right, let's go back to Eddie.
Hey, as I was looking at what Jim Duxbury just showed us, Jim's work is phenomenal. But each month, almost every month, he does an article or is featured in Wood Turning magazine, which comes out of Great Britain. It's a really good wood turning magazine for wood turners. Now, if you're looking to get into or expand on your wood turning, let's leave the art side alone for a minute. Just expand on wood turning and learn more technique, more variety, more holding, more use and more the nicks and the twist and all that. Go to Wood Turning magazine. You can find it through Amazon.com, and it's a monthly subscription. I get mine each month for $3.27. It goes on my iPad, and I carry it with me, and it's where I'm parked, where I'm waiting for clinic and all that, and just flipping through it. I read it over. I wear the ink out. So that's Wood Turning magazine, and Jim's always got a little interesting article. He's got a really good one in there this month, and he shares these little tidbits, these little secrets that he has. And there's nothing secret. When Jim finds it and he discovers it and brings it on, I mean, who else is going to bring wood and panties to the show?
You got it. You got it. He also, there's 13 issues per year. I don't know, that's metric or something, I guess, maybe, but.
Yeah, it is. It's metric. You know?
I have no idea how that works, but there's 13 issues per year. So if it sounds like it's more money or something, but there's also, to make things, I found it really neat, especially when I was starting, because there's a picture of the thing, there's a material list, there's a tool list, and there's a description of everything you have to do to make it. You know, you don't get that anywhere else.
You don't. And it's brought down to the level of, if you can run a lathe, you can follow this magazine. And I love it. I love it. And I was really, Barnes and Noble was a magazine place by the house. And this one didn't get that subscription in after a while. And one of the members in our club recommended about 4 years ago that I check that out. And that's where I found it. And I'm locked on it. It's a good source. And there's no sponsorship one way or the other with this. Okay, folks, it's just a good source of information that you may enjoy. That's all I have to say about that. We have stickers available for the club or through the club, and that is the stickers for worldwidewoodturners.org. And we had these stickers, and they're about 3 inches in diameter. And I thought I had a strip. Oh, here, there. Yeah. Because today I mailed about 10 packs of them out. These are stickers, and I do have it on good authority. And I think I can safely say that if you have one of these on your lathe in clear view, that your percentage of catches will go way down and your sanding ability will increase. So placing one of these stickers on your lathe is the way to go if you're a new turner. But they sell for 10 stickers. That's 10 of these stickers like this. Hold 10 of them. They come to you in one single envelope, number 10 envelope, and everything you need is right here, and it sells for $5. And the information on this is on the front page of the world's greatest wood turning website, worldwidewoodturners.org. And you can either make a payment through PayPal, or you can send us a check for $5 payable to me. Got to be payable to me. And we will send you out the stickers. Now, if you'd like to make an additional contribution to the drive, you may do so. If you'd like to get additional, you may do so. If you want to talk about it, my phone number is available through our contact list. We can make a deal. We're sending a whole bunch of them to SWAT this year because we plan on putting one on everybody's lathe that goes to SWAT this year. We meet all of our friends and our family. Remember, SWAT's a family reunion that with family you really do like. And it's happening on the 25th, 26th, and 27th in Waco, Texas. I don't want to say it's hot in Waco, Texas, but they have people. I mean, Tim Hatch's part-time job is watering light fixtures outside so they don't melt. Because it gets so hot that the light fixtures melt. But that's Waco, Texas. For information, SWATturners.org. SWAT, SWATturners.org. And you'll see a list of all the demonstrators, a lot of the vendors, the programs, and everything else. And you can plan your day, your trip, and all your shopping. I believe it's got probably one of the best wood turning galleries ever. It's the best place to see Bees of Courage ever on display. And the vendors are there. So if there's something new you want to play with, yeah, you could, yeah. My wife is definitely not a turner. She is a Pris. But she will go from vendor to vendor to vendor, vendor to vendor to see who's selling what acrylic pen blanks and jewelry and knickknacks and who-whats and all that. Who's got what on sale? Because she'll come back and say, honey, you know what I'd like to have this year? I'd like to have earrings and match the bracelets to have the brooch and had a little pin and a little necklace and stuff, and so be careful if you go around there, where you let the wife go shopping. It's a great time. I enjoy the heck out of it. And when I moved my shop, it's coming up on 2 years now, we moved into the house. I found boxes of things I picked up, projects I picked up at SWAT to turn. And it's so much fun to look at and say, wait, I got these 2-part bracelets. I got these rings. We did matching wedding rings of 3 or 4 different colors, because whatever you do, don't tell any color you want. And you could be there a while if you do that, but you can find some nifty stuff. So that's why I'm telling you, it's an experience you won't forget. But don't forget about our stickers. They're out there, they're available, and we're looking to make and that's the first major purchase done by the club. We did this in March. The club, we did a survey. Would you buy stickers? We like 95% of the people said, oh yeah, I'll buy stickers. Well, we heard from about 30% of you so far. Yeah. But we have the stickers. We got scared. Figured, well, if I buy just the first batch, we're going to run out. So we doubled the amount we bought. And then we sold 10% of what we thought we'd sell. So we're like Nash Rambler right now. Okay. So if you use the stickers, get them, bring them with you. If you're going to some place like SWAT or one of the other symposiums and you want to get stickers to give away, get a hold of me. We'll take care of that. We don't have a slush fund, but every single nickel that went into these stays in them. It's not a slush fund. It's just a way for us to promote the world's greatest free wood turning site. And I'm looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of you folks there. Now I'm looking at some new faces here tonight in the gallery, and I know they'll be there. Hey, is Billy Bird in tonight? Is Billy with us? I haven't seen him pop in yet.
No, he hasn't popped in. I
haven't
messaged
seen Billy.
him late last week, and he's still way under the weather from his bout with strep.
Yeah, it'll knock you down, especially if you're old and ugly. I mean, old. But yeah, and I saw where Safety Sue won't be with us tonight, but I want to help cover Sue's bases tonight. I got a little something to talk about tonight on Sue's topic. And it was perfect timing because this came up this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about shop safety. And people say maybe you've heard this term, safety first. I worked for contractors for 45 years, and I had one old contractor. I love him. Harry Langland was superintendent with me that long, 50 years ago or more. And he used to laugh. He said, safety first. He said, safety has never been first. He said, money will always be first. He said, safety is just how you make more money. So, and I just admire Harry. Harry would tell you that if you hit something and something pops back and hits you in the face, stop what you're doing and go get safety glasses or a shield. You don't say, real soon I should get some. No, that's the mark. If you blow your nose and you picked up some trash, that should be it. If your ears itch because you got some transient dust and stuff that got into it, that all those are warning signs. And God only taps you on the shoulder so many times before he finally smacks you upside the head. So when you get one of these warning signs, step up. I watched one today on TV, local news guy. They were cutting a lock off of a fence. It was a news story about they're opening up this playground, and they brought out this nice skill demo saw with a big carborundum blade on it, and the guy's going to cut it off. I admire this guy. He was a dedicated worker. He was pushing against the fence. He had that saw, and he was managing to make that cut while he was looking like this, getting right on through it. Now, I wouldn't have paid much attention to it, except he did have a shield on, and it was cocked up like that, in a safe position. I guess nobody told me you bring it down and you wipe it out. You'd see through it, and you could see the chain before you cut it. And they're trying to figure out why would he cut the lock when you could cut the link next to the lock? Somebody might have the key, come back and save the lock. But the safety bug just didn't follow this guy to work today. You often see these things and say, wow, how can somebody be so? They are. It's a natural thing. You have to think about being safe. That's why we have Safety Sue. She's a volunteer for our organization to cover topics. We don't go nuts about it. We go safe about it.
Say hello.
Harry would tell me, think about it. If you get hurt, you can't work. Don't worry about all these benefits and all that stuff. If you get hurt, you can't work. In the days of when people actually had to work for a living and get their jobs done, and we relied on folks, getting hurt knocked you down a couple of steps. I mean, if you pulled a muscle or got an ache or whatever, you did your best to keep going because you didn't want to drop down a couple of notches. You want to be at that, let's go get that guy and go to work person. So let's do that with safety, please. We'll talk a little bit more before we do our demonstration tonight. And our demo is going to be Joaquin, and he's going to do a little turning for us. And oh wait, if Tim Hatch just reminded me, if you pay early for SWAT, you don't have to pay at the door. You get a cheaper registration fee, et cetera, et cetera. And Tim said, "What's that?" Tim, I wear a 2X. It's a 2X. Isn't that what you were saying in that? Oh, I was sure he asked me what size T-shirt I was going to have to get for me. Maybe I missed that. Okay. Our challenge to seating on our gallery, and if you've turned one, join up, because I see the Cannon Master is in house tonight. And Cannon Master is Martin Clarkson out of Great Britain. Martin Clarkson, Ball Hanamy, and a handful of other members of a club from the Great Isles. They're members of this club. It's early in the morning or very late at night right now over there, and they join us each week. Stick around with us. Martin showed us how to develop a cannon. In fact, our own Dave Rhodes showed us a cannon he turned. And just this week, I spent about an hour on the phone, and I don't do that a lot lately, is to have incoming phone calls. My number is on the contact list, but getting incoming phone calls. A guy called me, and it was William. He's out of North Carolina, William out of North Carolina. And we were talking about turning the cannon. And he was explaining how he doesn't have a fancy chuck and all this. And I said, do you know what? Get rid of all that fancy chuck stuff. Just throw it out there. Do you have a faceplate? He's got a Jet 1014 mini jet that he bought at a red, white, and blue thrift sale. It's the old belted one. He got the faceplate, etc. So we walked through putting a block on a faceplate, making a couple of blocks on a faceplate out of 2x4 lumber, great old 2x4. And we made a couple of blocks. And then we talked about how to drill the blocks and put some inserts. And before we wrapped up, we had put a block on a faceplate, made it where you could change it easily, with the screws in it, carriage bolts, inserted a bar, a rod, another piece of 2x4, turned it to the same size as the projectile of the cannon, which is that little confetti pop thing. We have not had anybody willing to pop one on the meeting. We know you don't do your own housekeeping. Yeah, it happens. Martin did it a long time ago, but that's what the projectile is. He sized it. It was 1 1/8 inches. Put it on there. So then we drilled the other piece using a shop-made B-Dan. I'll say it's a B-Dan, where he hollowed out this thing with that tool to fit on that mandrel and then shaped it. By the time we got done, he had made the faceplate, made the spoke, made the hub, put it on there, turned it, got it down. He was getting ready to make a flip back to shape off the back end of it and get it shaped up. Didn't have a chuck. He was halfway to a cannon. Didn't have a chuck. And we were working this way all the way through it, because it's not that tool that made that cannon. It's not that chuck that made that cannon. It's right here. It was in him. It was in him. He had the whole thing going on right inside. He just had to take it out and put it there and have a little play with it. And he was so proud. He says, I didn't know I had a homemade bidan. Well, he didn't, because 15 minutes before we got started, he was calling it a heavy-duty screwdriver. Yep. He squared off the sides of his screwdriver, put a little bit of an edge on it, used it like a bidan, went into a drilled hole and enlarged it. And we did all this FaceTime on the telephone from North Carolina. I can't wait to see. I hope he joins us tonight. I got his number. I had to wake him up here, but it was a fun event. I'm looking forward to you sharing that with us. So you got ideas like that, how you can hold a piece, turn a piece. how you can jam up something. Those are all fun times, and they make your projects more interesting when you know that I got 4th of July thing coming up on Tuesday morning, and I want to have cannons to go on the table. Oh yeah. I'm the guy that would bring the cannons with all the confetti and ruin everybody's beans and potatoes. I put them out there and tell all the kids, ready, go. And yeah, it's only paper. What? Little confetti. Yeah. But I'm the guy that would do that. But making all those cannons, giving these kids the cannons to take home. Now remember, they have to take them home. You don't want them to keep them at your house. That's part of the deal. You give them the cannon, and when they're leaving, you give them one more cartridge. And you'll hear about it once they get home. You'll hear from the parents because they probably fired it off in the car on the way there, because it was all safe and good. I went to Party City the other day, and it took me 15 minutes to explain to the girl what I was looking for. I thought that was pretty poor for Party City. I thought you're going to tell you want pops for cannons or all this stuff, and they all just kept looking around like, well, you get this over here, and it's got bubbles, and I don't know, an ammo troop. If it doesn't blow up, it's no good. All right, we got a gallery up. Let's go.
We got a couple more we can go to before we go to the demo. So let's go with go to Mr. Grinstead. Hey, Bob.
Where's Bob at? There he is.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
we got you.
I was like Howard a while ago. Our club wanted one of those curved boxes, so I did curve one. Now my lid's not as round as his. I didn't make a ball, but a little walnut box turned out fine. Walnut turns out so dark on me; it just almost black. But I did put a little different knob on top, so out of elm that would kind of show up. But otherwise,
is that Alamo Wood Turners? What group is that?
It's Wood Turners of North Texas.
North Texas, okay.
Yeah.
That's an oval box.
Oh yeah, it's your box, Jim.
I saw that.
Yeah, look at that. And a grain match too, man.
I'll be. Nice job.
Good.
Very nice.
And I do have a cannon if we want to show cannons yet, or we'll wait to show them later.
Very nice. Cannon. Let's go to it.
No, we're showing.
All right. Well, here's my cannon I made. I made that after Martin did his.
Is it oval?
Nope.
Oh, damn.
It actually round and fits that party popper. But it turned out real good. I was out of 2 before and worked great.
I like the wheels. I like what you did the wheels on that. That's
yeah. Thanks. I just turned them and made kind of a little funny thing in the middle of it, and then I came back and actually held it with and drilled it with a Frostner bit down the side of it to make that curve to fit the barrel. But that worked out great.
Well done.
Yep. Thanks.
Beautiful.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, let's go to Terry. I know he's got some cannons.
Yeah, I'm on. How we doing? Well, we got a lot of different things going on. I've been out of the shop for a month and a half or so with a respiratory problem, but seem to think I got it under control. But I was all worried about the dust in the shop, so I was working on all that, which isn't going very good because it's 110 degrees down here. But anyways, to start with, I got my cannons. I've already showed them before, so I won't elaborate on them. But pretty much the idea of Martin's, but a little different. But I used manufactured wheels and a wooden block for a cradle where he turned them all together, kind of like the one Bob had there. And I made a bunch of them and had the kids out. They were shooting them. Don't tell your kids this, but the kids figured out that the spent casing plastic housing for the party poppers, make great bullets. They put them in backwards and shoot them all the way across the room. Don't tell them to do that, okay? And then I got a couple other, this is the cannons I've showed before, they're kaleidoscopes. And spoked wheels, and these are the ones I made. I made like 8 or 10 of them. I never made one that I was really proud of. I'm proud of the way that it looks, but not the way that it works. I don't have Jim's tuition to keep doing that, and I didn't find the right supplies, but I made them. They work, but they're not what I was hoping for. This is another one. This is made out of hackberry, and the frames are just 2x6 and 2x4s, and the wheels are made, and that did that. But what that I just brought it up for my cannon show. But as I was saying with the respiratory problems, I was trying to clean the shop up a little. I got it a little cleaned up, but I'm going to have to wait till fall to completely remodel it because I've just got too much dust in there, and it's either got to go or it's got to get better. So anyway, I was working on it, and I just cleaned it up best I could. And I said, well, I still want to do something because I ain't got anything done. So I got out my books and I started looking for some small projects that would work and not be so hard and not mess the shop up so bad. And I looked through the books and different ones, and I went out to my shed to see what I had for wood. Well, Terry style, I came back in with a piece of wood, a 50-pound block of pecan. Well, how could you possibly make a mess with a small 50-pound block of pecan making a 1-pound lampshade? Doesn't make any sense that it would make a mess, but it kind of did. But I'll show it to you. I did some design work on it. Let's see what let me see if I can flip the camera. Okay. Take this thing loose. And I'll turn out the lights. Here's my latest lampshade.
Oh my.
It's out of it's a piece of pecan, and it was spalded, and the black is really, really dense. You can't get any light through it. And then you see the top, when I got up to the top, I was getting into the heartwood, and I kept working on it, trying to get it as thin as I could to see if I could get some light through it. And all of a sudden, I thought I had ruined it because I was seeing unfiltered light coming through straight from the light. And what it was doing is it was coming through the end grain to the, I had it that thin, but it still didn't come through the side grain, but the light came through the end grain. It was thick enough. It's down, it's actually about 1.5 mil. And I still didn't get it turned quite as nice as I would like to. You see at the bottom where I got those little darker and a little thicker. I thought I had it a lot better, but with the light I'm using, and when it comes off and the light bulb goes in it, it shows differently. And it's still pretty good. It's like, what happened? It's 10 inches in diameter, and it's about 11 inches tall, the shade. The base is just a donor base. I don't know what I'm going to do about a base yet, but that's just a donor base. And it come out pretty good. I liked it. It's all I did was I buffed it and with a Beal buffing system, but I didn't use the red, whatever it is, compound. That stuff that comes with the Beal buffing system, you want to be real careful using it on light colored wood because it's got too much pigment in it and it'll stain it red. But all this is buffed. I buffed it with the white diamond and the Parfex and then waxed it. It came out pretty good. It's not too bad. I was
Beautiful.
pleased with it. The only bad thing about it is I walked out in the shop today and there's another piece of wood just about like that laying there.
So of course he's going to have to make another.
Is
anyone
else
break
I
it?
like
I don't
to.
do something with it.
Terry never makes
That's all I
one.
got, guys.
Terry never makes only one.
No, I think that's like number 23 but I haven't perfected them yet. I probably never will. But that's all I
Brenda,
got,
do you see the
guys.
Wookiee in it?
Very nice. Yeah, I see a face. What do you see, Brenda?
I see, like, it looked like a wig, the dark part, you know, looked like a wig, the face. Yeah.
Looked like a Wookiee to me.
Oh, scaring off the members now.
From yeah, some from Star Wars or something from what's that other one? Lord of the Rings. Those.
Yeah, new members, don't be afraid of this. It happens each week. They see images, and it just comes out of the wood. And some nights they see multiple images, and then they say, "Oh, look, the seahorse is eating the goblin, which is chasing the dragon." And
It's
what
the fumes
scares
from the
what's-
wood.
what scares the most of me is, after a while, I tend to see them too. So you know, it's some way to go. All right, we're going to go to demonstration in just a few minutes. But before we go to demonstration, we're going to do a safety moment. Each week we do a safety moment. Sue Gillick out of Tampa, Florida, does our safety program with us as one of our volunteers. We have many volunteers, and all of them are the same, just like you. They're just members interested in wood turning. And we all get together to talk about how to keep going with this addiction we have, or this fascination we have. And we have to think about doing it in the safest way, because there's not a bunch of children sitting around these computers tonight doing this. We're all of proper age, and we're all of reason, and we all have to take care of each other. And one thing we talk about often is hearing protection. Now, when I'm sitting here at the computer, I'm got my headset on, or I've got one of those little snap-on things. Dane came up a couple of years ago, a year or so ago, with these little drop-ins earpieces that I love them. I love them. I think I'm banned from having those on in the car anymore, because it's insisted that if we go someplace and she's going to talk to me, I'm going to listen. But hearing protection is key. And if you've ever experienced one of those moments when, after working in the shop all weekend long, and your ears just itch a little bit, and you realize that when you breathe air and things, it moves through the ears. Stuff gets transmitted in there. Well, blocking it out really helps. Simple little thing. These are my earplugs. These stay in my treatment bag that I have to take with me every day to clinic. And it's second form of treatment, but they're just little round press pliers, and they're not the real difficult ones to put in. You don't have to lick them and spin them and all that stuff. They press right in. It takes about 30 seconds from the puff up, and then it'll block out most of the harmful decibels and bring the sound down to something that is more acceptable to your hearing. But it keeps the trash out too, because a lot of trash that moves through there. Now, if you, I'm not getting to this clean your ears and all that stuff, that's gross. But if you just keep them plugged up when you're in the shop and you work around stuff where there's a lot of dust and grime, and right now sweat, moving things around, it'll keep the bacteria and all out of your ears. But another quick thing, these sell at Amazon.com, and I get 100 of them, or a box of 100, a couple of 100 of them, sell for just a few dollars. Never, ever, ever reuse them. They're trash. They go right in the can. They do. Your hearing is worth a lot more than whatever you paid for this. And that's why I prefer to use those than the little plug-in muffs or the snap overs or any of those others. Use them now, throw them away. I use them every day at clinic because I personally can't handle the woe is me conversations about other people's illnesses. You destroy my day if you tell me about Aunt Martha's broken hip and they reset her arm and all this stuff. And people have a tendency to get into those conversations. You may also, but it's sometimes we don't hear what falls out of here, and we'll do to somebody else. So that's why I bring them to clinic, and I'll put them in, and people be all in my wave, and I just point, show them a little green dot, they'll understand. Except one lady, she wants to get closer and speak up so she can tell me the problem's a little bit clearer. But protect your hearing. Now, if you have to wear the head overs, I've got a set of overheads for cutting grass. My lawnmower's not that loud. It's a John Deere. It's a pretty good shape. But I have it because I like to listen to a little bit of music out there, and I like to keep down some of those outside sounds. Well, that one, I just clean it with those little alcohol wipe pads when I get done with them, before and after I use them. So taking care of your hearing will matter. And I got a kick out of Sue tonight. Sue said, we're going to talk about hearing. I sent back, huh? What'd you say? And she said, we're going to talk about hearing. He said, what? What was that? And about the third time, she said, you got me twice. So here's the deal. Listen up. Take care of your hearing. We only want to tell you that one time, so I want you to hear it. All right. So be safe, please. And above all else, be as safe. How's Dane put it? And no, he puts it on Facebook. We want you coming out of your shop as safe as you went in it. So today, when you get out to get finished in the shop, come out as safe as you can. And the temperature, you're not going to come out as dry, but come out as safe as you can. All right, it's 3 minutes after the top of the hour. This is worldwidewoodturners.org. We meet each Wednesday evening. We click the switch on at about 5:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time or Central Time. And we continue on until 9 o'clock p.m. recording it. And these recorded programs are placed on our website by our webmaster, Dave Rhodes. He also places a bunch of other stuff on our website. Everything you contribute to this club goes on our website free. Everything you have an event coming up goes on our events calendar. If you have something like an IRD happening, it's right there. Doug Miller put up, he's got a demo going tomorrow afternoon. It's on, and he's looking to have it crowded by you folks. It's going to be on Facebook tomorrow. Facebook? Yeah. YouTube. So on YouTube tomorrow. So if you want to hang out with Doug tomorrow afternoon, is that 3 o'clock Central or Eastern? Eastern time. You can hang out with Doug tomorrow in his shop. But all that stuff goes on our chat. And before you leave tonight, Donald Masterson in Australia, his primary function in this organization is to tell you and yours, every one of y'all, save the chat. Before you leave tonight, save the chat. It'll get saved on your computer. But suppose you don't do that. All right. Then when you go to our website, after Dave, our webmaster, gets it, updates it, puts it on our website, it'll be on our website. And he'll excerpt. Tonight's demonstration will be broken out of the entire 3.5 hour program and put in there. But also, if you show us how to do something, show us a tip or a trick or an idea, or share a recipe or a formula or a drawing or a sketch or a pattern on how to do something, all that is in there. I mean, a couple of months ago, it actually was in the last year, we all saw the Ducks Chuck. Jim Duxbury showed us an offset eccentric chuck that he created in his shop. And we have seen a dozen versions of them from members who've made them and changed them in gizmo and all. In fact, tonight we saw 2 jars done for the North Texas wood turners that were oval. How do you say oval? Were they oval?
Oval, round.
Oval, turned on duck chucks. The all that information, it's on the website. You don't even have to pay for it. You go there because we shared that with you. And guess what? We can't share it if you don't give it to us. So if you got something developed like that, send it on in. That's what we really like. And we've got some of the best turners in the world are members of this club. Right now, we're talking to probably a half a dozen of some of the most talented instructors that I've ever seen. And we've had some of the best demonstrations that I've ever sat through right here. And we're looking for more. Our demonstration master is Dane Chandler. He handles lining the folks up, getting them in line, getting it organized, getting the folks lined up, filling the gaps when all of a sudden life gets in the way and we got to go do a life instead of wood turning. Isn't that hell? But if you have something you want to do, put it in the chat. Say, hey, Dan, I'd like to do such and such. But you know, Dane, I have a gizmo that's only going to be a 10-minute demo. I don't think it'd work into the meeting. Why not? Why wouldn't it work? You have a 10-minute idea that it saved time, money, trouble, or improved my work. You don't think we got 10 minutes to give you for that? Come on, I can give you 10 minutes for that any day of the week, especially Wednesday nights. All right. We've heard a couple of folks tonight talking about finishing with super glue, and it keeps coming up. Parfix. What is Parfix? Parfix is a surgical grade super glue. Surgical grade super glue. It's taking it up a couple of levels above squirt bottle super glue. Squirt bottle super glue. The 2-ounce bottles you get for $5. Right? No. We're going to go above this. Parfix goes on thicker, clings, smooths out. When I learned how to do super glue, it was one drop, one pass, go quick, wait a minute. One drop, one pass, go quick, wait a minute. That's not Parfix. Parfix 3408, which is the big thing. I mean, Brenda won't turn anything in a shop if she's got to put anything else but Parfix 3408 on it. It's just the way it is. You can put it on, work it in, lap it out, finally accelerate it, buff it. Guess what? You're done. You're done. Yeah. We've had Mark Soleil. I think he's in the house here someplace tonight. We had Mark Soleil do demonstrations on us years ago. It's just that kind of a product. There's no sponsorship. I'll say it again. But we find a product that works like that, we're going to talk about it and show it. Now, there's some other folks popping up in the market with similar types of products, and we're looking at them. So if we find them and they work, we're going to tell you. And it's not a competition. It's really not. It's an opportunity to expand your horizons. Oh, wait, the Ducks Chuck I talked about a minute ago, it's going to be in Wood Turning Magazine's issue number 385, the oval box in number 386, and the offset base and 386 and number 36. Jim's got some turning to get done. Yeah, he's sitting around, but making wooden underwear. But we got a lot going on. Is our demonstrator in the pit? Is he ready? Is he set?
Joaquin is ready to go, Eddie.
I am
So
He's ready to go. I tell you what, I hate
over to North Carolina.
All right, and we preface this with the fact that this is Joaquin's demonstration, folks. We permit demonstrators to have their free run of the lathe, and this is what he does. If you have comments about his work, at the end, we'll have time for you to make those comments, ask those questions. But for right now, I want to see what this dog has got up his sleeve right here, because I've been peeking. And I like what I've been seeing. What's up, Joaquin?
Good evening. First of all, I want to add to the safety conversation. It is still above 80 degrees here in North Carolina, and the humidity is what I like to call obscene. Make sure you hydrate. Keep water nearby. Make sure it's clean. This is full of filtered water. I keep it with me at all times in the shop, and I may, while we're turning tonight, stop and take a couple swallows. One of the things that you need to be careful with is heat injury. It's a very real and very dangerous. Keep water with you. I have a gallery thing to show before we get into the demonstration. This is the Ripples piece. This is red Coolabah burl, ebony, and African blackwood. And if you look, it's like the ripples of a pond when a drop of water hits it. And I was able to reflect that and keep about the same thickness, except here in the center, because I have a recess to hold the foot. So that was my sculptural piece I did last week. And I've been cranking out, small, inexpensive pieces for vending, little compact mirror kits. I don't know where to get these, probably Penn State. I inherited them with the new lathe. So I made about a dozen of these. And this is eucalyptus. So I didn't put any finish on it. I just burnished it so you can smell it. It smells wonderful. But tonight, I had a lot of questions when I post pictures of my angled bowl. So let me tell you a story. About 4 years ago, my folks went to see Machu Picchu in Peru. And the street vendors had these funny bowls that were angled. And they're little funny plastic angled bowls. And so you stood around the street corner and your food is in the deep end and you hold it with your thumb and you don't get your thumb wet with the food. So this is the first one that I made. And if you look, it's got a tenon on the bottom and it's got a fairly flat bottom. And when I made this 4 years ago, I came up with this lunatic jig to get it on a slant on the lathe so that I could cut the rim to the angle. So this was a regular round turn bowl that I then just put in this wildly dangerous jig. I know a little bit more now. I've learned a little bit more and it was dangerous. And then turned it on a jig at the angle and got the rim. Well, I've learned a little bit about multi-axis turning since then. And this is a recent one that I did a couple weeks ago. And it's the exact same concept. Deep end, shallow end. You hook your thumb on the shallow end, your food goes in the deep end. And it's a lot simpler to make. So we're going to make one. Got a piece of walnut chucked up here. And it's mostly round. So the first thing we'll do is fix that. And I apologize for the fan noise, but like I said, it's about 80 degrees. So I have my cyclone fan blowing.
Don't hear a thing.
I don't hear a fan.
I'm
As
sorry.
they say in my neighborhood, huh?
If you can't hear it, then the noise cancellation in Zoom is working. So
Correct.
So one of the things that I figured out in redeveloping the design of this bowl is that if you turn it as hemispheric as possible, you don't necessarily want to be an exact hemisphere, but say 1/3 of a sphere, you get the best results as far as your wall thickness and consistency and things like that. We've almost got our shape here. Getting a little far off the tool rest there. Well, I obviously need to bring this shoulder down a little. Let me sharpen real quick. Never fails. Whenever I want to do a demonstration, I pick the hardest piece of wood I can find.
Well, you got to stay with consistent with everyone else.
What's that?
I said you want to stay consistent with everybody else doing a demo.
Right. Get the one with the knots in it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got to take this corner down a little bit more. We're almost completely round. And we're pretty close to balanced. We can probably get past that. There we go. Oh. There we go, much better on the shape. So we're going to move that rest in again. We're almost completely round. We need to come in a little bit more here. I lately have been doing a series of bowls for a large order, and all of them have a little hint of a foot, and you can see that coming through. That muscle memory, because I've been turning a bunch of them. Actually, before we do that, we'll go ahead and establish our tenon. So a little trick, if you use the Nova G3, if you set your pencil on top of your 60-degree live center, that is roughly the diameter that you need for the tenon. You can go a little under it, but but that's roughly your diameter. So we'll go ahead and establish the tenon, and then we'll fix the shape. I'm just going to come in with my 3/8" spindle gouge as a detail tool here. Get a little dovetail. Okay, and I'm going to make that, clean that up a little bit. Got some little fuzzy grain going on down here. That was a very rough sawn piece. There we go. Up. Okay. And now one thing I will tell you is when you do this, if you're going to do this angled bowl, don't sand yet, because you're going to have to turn the outside of the bowl a second time. And you will understand in just a few minutes. But you will be completely wasting your time if you start sanding at this stage. All right, let's take a look at the edge. And probably going to take 2 more passes to get there. Let me sharpen one more time. Getting a little torn grain. Although again, that's more a matter of form because the outside's going to be completely turned again. And if anybody's wondering what they're hearing, this is the Sorby Pro Edge, which I really like, but I'm using a Wolverine jig, which doesn't really work well with the Sorby Pro Edge. But it gets me close to an Ellsworth grind. All right, getting a little far off the tool rest up here. Okay, let's take a quick look at our rim. We're pretty good, not bad. We'll take that down when we hollow, which we're about ready to do. I'm gonna give this tenon a little more beef. I don't like the look of the grain of the wood right there, that soft. That soft sapwood. And this is something you have to use a tenon on this style bowl. I'm sure you could come up with a method of doing it with a recess, but I think we create a whole lot of extra work. Then we use our little 1/2" skew as a negative rake scraper and get the dovetail in there. And we're ready to reverse this. Again, anathema to most bowl turners. Why aren't you sanding? Because you you're going to return the outside. That's the whole key to this little little bowl. So something I like to do is knock the door cover off of my lathe. Something I like to do is bring the tailstock back in, loosen my chuck, lock that down, and then drive the center into that woodworm screw hole, drive that bolt down onto the jaws of the chuck. That makes sure that I have a very good connection with the shoulder of the chuck to the bottom of the bowl. On the older style G3, there's a little lip, a little tooth at the top of the dovetail. You do not want to over sharpen on a cross grain bowl with this chuck jaw, because it will start a crack and it will actually shear your tenon off. It can start a crack in the grain and shear your tenon off. So another thing that I do to help prevent the possibility of that happening is, for about the first third of the bowl, as I'm just hogging out bulk, I'll leave my tail center up just to make sure that I'm as secure as possible while I'm creating as much stress, as much torque as I am moving bulk. So just to help ensure for at least the top inch of the bowl or so before I run out of room and have to get the tailstock out of there, I'll leave it in just as extra insurance. Now, another thing that we need to do while we're right here is round this edge over, nice and easy. Just round that. And remember, this is emulating a bowl that you would find at a street vendor. So you want that to be as safe as possible for a possible customer who's eating on a street corner. We don't want to have sharp corners on that. We want a nice, round, rolled rim. And we are going to turn this almost 3/8 of an inch thick. We're going to hollow almost 3/8 of an inch thick. Again, that's going to make a lot of sense after we get the bowl hollow. So we're just about to the point where we can't keep that tail center up anymore. Go ahead and take that down. Now, tailstock's in the way. I can't give you a good view, but we'll get to that in a second too. Now this is going to break. We'll get to that 5/16 hole that was for the woodworm screw. And this should just snap off. There it goes. Okay. Get that out of the way. If you have a smaller lathe, this is a little Laguna 1216 MIDI lathe. I don't have a swing away tailstock. If you can remove your tailstock, get it off the lathe while you're hollowing, because you will put little dents in your elbow with that wonderful 60-degree live center while you're hollowing if you don't pull that tailstock away. Ask me how I know, and don't make fun of the little scars on my right elbow. I'll polish this up a little bit and clear that out. Okay, hopefully I've got the camera set in such a spot that I don't run the tool handle into it. We're going to go ahead and start working on thickness here.
Joaquin,
Yes.
is there any chance you can switch the camera views?
Sure. You're looking for a hollowing view?
There you go.
Okay. Sorry, I can't get this silly digital camera. It should be focusing here, and it's focusing on the back wall. Next upgrade is cameras with manual focus.
Just turn off the autofocus.
Let's see
If
I
you
can do that.
focus it to the bowl and then turn off the autofocus, it'll stay focused where you want it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll have to figure out how to do that. These things, the manuals are in English, poorly translated, so it's takes a little hit and miss with that. All right, my tool rest is a little bit high.
It's
No
still
worries,
good. It's still good. We can see what you're doing.
Okay.
It's a good view here.
Now I am taking large bites. Again, we're hogging right now, but something I always tell people is, even though we're taking big bites, we can start to shape our cuts so that the inside wall is parallel with the outside of the bowl. Obviously, I can't go straight down. I've got to remove some bulk. But if you think about the heel of your gouge, you push your tool handle away from you and make sure that you parallel the heel of the gouge with the outside of the bowl and follow that curve. You should have good parallel walls. And then if it gets a little deep like that, go ahead and pick it up. Just remove a little bit more. Now we're well over 3/8 inch thick, so we're going to go ahead and take a bit more off that side. Go ahead and feel where we're at. And I'm lifting away too much, too quickly. Adjust that. Now again, we're going to turn this fairly thick because we have to turn the outside again, but that first inch is now done. The walls are parallel, and I'm not happy with my rim and bowl, so I'll come back and readdress that real quick.
And she crushes the entire theory of the case.
Better. We're sharpen, and we're going to get a couple of finish cuts on that first inch of that rim of that bowl. Good grief. This humidity, this walnut is bunching up like a curly hair. Pay attention. It's so humid right now that Starbond Thick is activating within about 6 seconds of applying it. So I have to be very careful about what finishes and what blues I'm using right now. I actually had to fix and redo a lighter project because my Starbond set with the barrel 3/4 of the way over the lighter. Just locked right up. Okay, so we got a nice round rim. We've got good parallel walls. We'll go ahead and do the next inch of the bowl. We're not going real thin, so we could do it from the center out. But I like to do it the way I do it because for me, I'm able to keep my walls as consistent as possible all the way through the bowl by working an inch at a time. When I turn thin walled bowls, I have plenty of bulk in the center to help prevent centrifugal force from causing some wobbly issues. All right, but we do need to come down about another inch. So again, think about, as you're doing this, what the shape of the bottom of the bowl is going to look like, and make your cuts now so that you're getting a consistent shape. As you work your way out, if you think about it as though you're making your walls. So look, I've got 1.5 inch thick walls, but I want to make sure that's parallel. Okay, we've got about 1 inch thick walls. We can take a little bit less, but I want to make sure that wall is parallel. If you think about it that way and work your way out that way, by the time you're making your finishing cuts, you've developed a little, what I call short-term muscle memory. I'm used to making the right movements to maintain the shape of my bowl already by the time I'm trying to make finishing cuts. So I'm not making any major adjustments. Check my thickness. Good. We got good parallel. So this wall is parallel to the same thing on the outside, just thicker. But also at this stage, we need to remember we have a tenon on the bottom, and we need to make sure that we don't join the funnel club. So usually about here, check the bottom, and use my little Harbor Freight depth finder, depth gauge. This thing is bomb proof. It got dropped, oh, I've got 1/2 inch. It got dropped into a dust pile, swept up, thrown into the burn barrel, burned, discovered, cleaned up, and it's still kicking. All right, we got about 1/2 inch in the bottom, so obviously we're going to pull our cut shallower as we get to the bottom, because the bottom needs to be less of an angle. Again, with the exception of the bottom, we're essentially hemispheric in the shape of this bowl. Go ahead and check that depth again, make sure we're not getting too excited. No, still have plenty of room. And we need to keep that bottom a little bit thick so that we have something to turn to get our angled bowl. So it's a real fine balance right here between continuing that curve and making sure there's enough material when we reverse the bowl again. And I can't tell you a scientific way to figure that out. I can tell you that it just feels like it's going to work. All right, I'm going to sharpen one more time and we'll get some finishing cuts in there. I'll double check our wall thickness, make sure we're consistent. We got a nice consistent walls. We're shallowing at just about the right spot here on the bottom. And again, that's a feel thing. I can't give you a scientific formula for that. I just know it feels like it's going to work right. I am exaggerating the wall thickness. You can take it down a little thinner, but it's a really, really fine balance. It really is quite tricky. And if you want, you can take a pass or two with a bottom feeder, real fine, or you can bring in your good friend, a bowl scraper. Just got those major tool marks there. Okay. Now, basics of a bowl. Hopefully we're all familiar with. Go ahead and sand this up a little bit. Not too much. And this is a fairly new tool. I did send Dane a link to this. Woodturner's Wonders came out with this in January. And this is their Ultra, I think it's Ultra. That's their Ultra Inertia Sander. And this is a really fantastic tool. I've killed a couple of the traditional Sorby style sanders. And one of the reasons that this stands out above, by the way, I asked, they don't sponsor Turner's, so I'm not getting anything for telling you what a great tool this is. But one of the ways that this stands out above any other inertia sander that I've seen is this is magnetic. So it comes with a 2-inch and a 3-inch arbor. It's magnetic. The bearings are enclosed, so it keeps it protected, and you don't have those annoying seat clips if you want to change the arbor. Pretty fantastic tool. It also is positionable. So say you want to sand the underside of the edge of a hollow form, you can actually change positions and straighten it, and it's pretty handy. And they have a longer handle version as well. So again, I received nothing for telling you this is the best inertia sander I've ever seen. I'm just telling you, this is the best inertia sander I've ever seen. My preference is to sand in both directions. So there's the inside of our bowl. Oh, look at that. It's not a Wookiee. Not sure what it is, but we're not here to watch sanding. So here's the trick. Go to your bucket. We should all have a bucket, as Captain Eddie tells us, of cutoffs and little ends of glue blocks and things that already have tenons on them. And most likely, if you're like me, you've already shaped to fit the bottom of a bowl. Oh, gee, look what I found. And remember that you're using the old version of the G3. So righty tighty or lefty tighty, righty loosey. The new version is lefty loosey, righty tighty. And you bring the tailstock back. Now, how steep you want your bowl is up to you. My, I guess, rule of thumb is that I'm going to take it right to the edge of my tenon. Either just inside or just outside. I think we're going to go just outside.
Could we see the overhead? The tailstock's blocking the view.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So there we have the angle. Okay, and that's just, I'm not even sure if it's the same as this one. No, they're pretty close because I use the same size tenon. So we're getting about the same angle. Okay. So you need to remember we left that bottom a little bit thick so that we have a good strong purchase with our tail center. Slow your lathe down. Get your tool rest in and make sure you have clearance because you are now turning on a different axis. So you want to make sure that you have clearance. And bring yourself up to speed. And you can see we're a little bit off of actually spherical. We've got that edge right there. That's the flat, but we're close to spherical. You can see the shape. We should have enough room. We get past that. Get past that wobble. We should have enough room that we can make our bowl round. So face shield is very important anytime you're off axis. Well, anytime, but anytime you're off axis, you better wear a face shield. You might not walk away from it. The first thing we'll do is establish the bottom of our bowl again on our new orientation. and even undercut it a little bit so that it'll sit flat. But we want to leave a beefy tenon in the middle there, and take a look and see how far we've got. We don't have a full circle, so we want to keep going, but we've reestablished a center. So if you're unsure about the thickness as you're starting to do this, you've established a center again. You've got a good center, so you can pull your tailstock away and check. And we're pretty good. We've got a decent bottom. We've got a little bit of room to work. So we're going to go right back to that center. Check it. Yep, we're dead on. Okay, so don't feel like you can't stop and make sure that you're getting, that you're going to have a good safe bottom on that bowl. Now, I will also caution you at this point, once you have a full circle on the base, start coming up the sides. And if you feel like you're getting too thin, again, check it. If you feel like you're getting too thin, start turning the sides and bring those sides down to meet your base to get a full circle for the base. So we're going to check again. We still have a little bit of room, so we can 6 of one or half a dozen of the other at this point. We can go ahead and start turning the sides, or we could turn the base some more. I'm going to start turning the sides because I don't want half the bowl to be flat on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and bring our sides down to give our base the right shape. These little sewing lights are really useful, but they can also be a real pain in the neck. Again, rotate it. Yep, we're good. So we're going to go ahead and start doing our sides. We are not too thin yet, but we could easily get too thin. So again, set it, spin it. You're off axis, so you're going to have some challenges. Make sure, rotate it by hand. Don't just hit power. Don't just hit go, because you will run the side of your bowl into your tail center. Now we're going to do a little turning of air. So if you can get it up to a decent speed that you're comfortable with and feel safe with, do so. Stop, check. Stop, check. We're almost through our tenon. We've almost got our shape. We're just about perfectly round. We have a little tiny bit more to remove. And again, if you feel uncomfortable, if you want to check your bottom, because you have that center there, you can do so. This is the corner that is the most at risk, and we're doing really good. We've got a lot of room here. The base is not too thin. We've got space. So we're in good shape for that. And I'd say 2 or 3 more passes. Excuse me. Let me get some water. Sorry, it's hot out here.
Got to stay hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to remind you to do that when you turned that bowl around. But
I should have. You're
what
absolutely
he's gonna
correct.
do.
I should have. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, no question.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna get back in. Again, folks, turn it by hand. Make sure that you're not gonna run this end into your tool stock or your tool rest. Please, don't do what I've done. Don't do it. Don't learn that the hard way. All right, almost through that remains of the first bottom of the bowl. Okay, we want to clean that up a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and stop and look. We're just about got that. We have a tiny bit more to remove. And we had a little bit of room. So we want to keep a little bit of width to that base. Remember, you also need to be able to set the bowl down without it tipping. So we still need about 1/3 of the width of the bowl, maybe a little bit less flat, so that we can set the bowl down. We are turning a lot of air. Just make sure you hold that tool down on the tool rest. You should be fine. Now remember, I said we need to try to keep this as hemispheric as possible. That's because we are going to end up with a little bit of a funky angle. But if we can come round all the way to this edge, this little angle right here, we can easily sand. So this does definitely include a little bit of sanding, but it's not bad unless you're like me and use cherry. In which case you will spend a little more time sanding because it's harder than this walnut. So we just want to round that. Nice shear scrape. Again, take your time. You can use a negative rake scraper. Well, you can use any scraper if you want. You don't have to do it this way. Do what you're comfortable with. Do what your experience allows. But we're just about to sanding again. Now I want to double check. We're still a little heavy up here. We're still a little thick. We can take down some more. So we're going to come right about mid bowl here. And we're going to pick up our cut. Take our time because we're turning a lot of air. we're right about there. Just about all the way to the edge. We'd probably be a little better off shear scraping that little bit right there. So bring your tool rest around. We're concentrating on this, and as you can see, we have a lot of air. So be very gentle. Come in with your shear scrape. Nice and easy. There we go. Got that little sharp edge out of there. Come back around this way. There we go. I think we're pretty good. Ah, that's what I'm seeing. I keep seeing a little bit of hair on the shadow. It's our little pad here. All right, we're about ready to sand. We're going to have to resort to the 80 grit bowl gouge. It's really hard at this weird cockamamie angle. I haven't solved getting tear out in one spot, and look, it's only this one spot on the 3/4 end grain because we've turned everything. I haven't figured out how to cut to avoid that yet. So we have to resort to the 80 grit bowl gouge, but that's okay. And again, one of the biggest boons for me for this sander is I could switch from 2 to 3 immediately because it's magnetic. So break out our 80 grit bowl gouge. And on the outside with this weird shape, the 3-inch mandrel works best. Now, one thing to remember if you're using a inertia sander is that contact with the wood turns it. So when you get air, it's going to stop a lot. If you're doing it right, if you're pushing too much, which hard to do, hard not to do, you might keep it turning. But if you're doing it right, you're going to stop your inertia sander a lot. So if you have really difficult spots, don't take it as a loss if you have to give it a little power sanding. It's not the end of the world. Not competing with anybody but you in your shop. You can get those little weird problem spots. Slow your lathe down a little. Try to get it so that you're not getting bounce. You should get a fairly decent sanding experience if you're not getting bounce. Go ahead and go in the opposite direction. Also, if you are using power, make sure your drill's turning in the opposite direction that the bowl is turning. That gives you the maximum sanding effectiveness. All right, so we still got a little wild grain right there. Also, you can stop the lathe. Whoops, unscrew. Now, this is the only complaint I have with these mandrels. is they should have put a little bit of Loctite on that little spot right there. So when you sand in reverse, you can unscrew your mandrel. That is the only thing I don't like about it, and that's really minor. But it's doing it to me because I don't ever sand with 80 grit. Gotta be careful that drill doesn't get away from you. Okay, but we all get the picture. You can sand that up, even up that shape really nicely. We were able to turn it away, so we do still have consistent wall thickness. And I'll show you that in a few minutes, but let's go ahead and finish cutting the bottom of the bowl. How are we going to do that? We've got all this weird angle. We've got all this strange stuff. Well, it's really not hard. If any of you have ever watched the Papa 1947 or Shady Acres Woodshop, Phil Anderson on YouTube, you know this method because they both do it every time they turn a bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the lathe turning in the appropriate direction. We're going to keep it fairly slow, around 600 RPM, 700 RPM, right in that range. We're going to take our 3/8" spindle gouge and use it as a detail tool. And we are going to press, we're going to ride that bevel pretty hard, holding it like this, butt of the tool in the palm of our hand, finger pointing down the tool. We're going to come in. First of all, make sure we have our undercut here. And we're going to start working away that center nub, that tenon, nice and easy. Double check that our bottom is concave. It is. Take that down. Now you can start faster, but this is a pretty soft piece of walnut, so I didn't really need to get it back up to 900 RPM. Okay, we're going to very gently pare away at that little center cone. Nice and easy. Don't force it, you'll mess it up. Okay, again, drawing pressure straight down the shaft of the tool towards the headstock. We're just going to work the tip in. Our left hand is on the power button. We're just going to work the tip in. You can take a step back and pare off a little bit more of this material. Okay, pressure toward the headstock, straight up the shaft of the tool. Work the tip in. The instant that little nub stops spinning, stop the lathe. We're through. Now, you are holding the bowl on the headstock with the tool. Get your tool rest out of the way so you don't dent your bowl. If you've spent a bunch of time sanding, that's really upsetting. And there you have it. Takes about this long. Fix that little nub. Obviously, we would have sanded all the way through the grits. But again, we don't need to demonstrate sanding. And here we have your angled bowl. And the point again for this little street vendor bowl is you're standing on the street corner getting your food. The deep end holds your food. The shallow end holds your thumb, and your thumb stays dry so you don't get your thumb dirty while you're standing there having your meal. Any questions?
Well done, Joaquin.
Yeah, I have a
done.
question.
Yes.
I have a question there, Joaquin.
Yes, sir.
You made mention of running your drill if you were doing power sanding. Now, I power sand the normal way, coming over the top, and then I reverse my lathe. but I've
Mhm.
never reversed my drill. That's the first I've heard of it. You're supposed to
Well,
reverse
so
it.
think about it. I'll show you on here. Think about it. Okay. If the lathe is turning this way
Yeah.
and I'm turning the drill the same direction as the lathe, although the lathe may be going a little faster than the drill or slower, depending on your drill, right? If I'm sanding in the same direction,
You're not
I'm
sanding.
getting less sanding.
Yeah.
Now, if I stand in the opposite direction, see how much more?
Yeah.
Look, there's material the same direction, right? I'm getting less sanding. Here's material the opposite direction. Look how much I'm pulling off of there. So when you reverse the lathe, same thing. Lathe's turning that way, put the drill in reverse. If I go the same direction, I'm really hardly doing anything at all. But I come in the opposite direction. Holy cow, we're removing a massive amount of material.
Hey,
It's just
thanks.
a more efficient way to sand.
I've never seen that or been told that. Thank you very much.
Phil Anderson, I learned that from Phil Anderson at Shady Acres Workshop. Every time he sands, sand in both directions, make sure your drill's going the opposite direction. He pounded it into my brain. All right, any other questions?
I got a question. What
Yes.
size bowl blank did you start with? I missed that.
This one, uh-oh. Now I've gone and done it. Oh, it's over by my laser. I think that's about 6 inches. Hang on a second.
That's close enough then.
Now you can go bigger. You can go bigger. This I think was 6 inches. Yeah, 6.5. So probably 6 3/4 inches. Sorry, probably 6 3/4. So this one's 6.5 inches across. This cherry one here, I think this was an 8-inch blank. That's 7 1/4. You can go bigger. This was the size of nice flat 12/4 walnut I had available. This was 12/4 as well of cherry. So the only thing that limits you is the bedway of your lathe. This has got a 6 inches from center to the bed. So with that little bit of the movement as you turn the bowl, this side gets longer. You don't want to turn a 12-inch wide one of these on this lathe. It'll hit the bedway, but you could probably get away with 11 inches wide. Again, though, you've got to remember that you were thinking hemispherically. You're thinking as close to about a third of a sphere. You see how spherical these are. So at some point, mathematically, you're going to run out of room in order to have a bottom, and you're just not going to be able to do it. That's something I haven't really experimented with, because if I'm at a street vendor and I have a bowl this big, that's more than enough food. That's my reasoning behind it. That's a lot of food. That's going to hold quite a bit. You can probably put 2.5, 3 cups of rice in there. So 6 inches, 7 inches works pretty well. Any other questions?
Good demo, Joaquin. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
What kind of finish?
I wouldn't be here without you, Mark. Thank you.
It was Are you going to finish it?
It was
I'm
really
sorry?
great. It was great.
What kind of finish?
Okay, so I have been experimenting with finishes for a while, and I have come to the conclusion that Brad's Workbench is my favorite. His sanding paste is extra fine. It's very, very fine. And this is finished with Brad's Workbench Tongue Honey, which is a combination of pure tongue oil, beeswax, and carnauba wax in a heavier to the oil than wax. And this is just an incredible finish. It just works really well. This is fully cured. And one of the things I really like about his finish is no watermarks. Here, I'll show you from the top. You can see the wax isn't wearing away. There's no watermark. This is a very, very durable finish, extremely durable. I have found it to be my favorite finishing process. And yeah, it takes 3 weeks or so for the tung oil to polymerize, but look at that. No watermarks. It's a great finish.
Well,
And
folks, any more questions for Joaquin?
yeah, was somebody able to put the link for the sander in the chat? This is at whatturnerswonders.com. And by the way, again, they don't sponsor Turners. I'm not getting anything for telling you this. Their Green Wave sandpaper. This is the Green Wave. It's got a Mylar back. I have to make myself throw this away. This lasts forever. I can use a 50 pack of each grit for almost 4 months. This stuff is amazing. I literally have to force myself to toss it. So I wish they sponsored because I'll rave about their stuff. It's great. It's great material. It's great stuff. Yeah, currently sold out. I'm sorry. Every time I go live every day on TikTok, and every time I pull this out, 13 Turners ask me where I got it. So I'm probably responsible for that. I've had at least 10 people say, "Oh, I just ordered mine." So sorry. Hopefully they'll make more because it's awesome. Any other questions?
It was a great demo. Really appreciated the tool handling was
sorry.
superb.
Of course, the air compressor kicks on.
Oh, we can't hear it.
Oh, well, I can't hear you. All I can hear is the compressor.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
There we go. Thanks, Robert, for dropping that link into chat. Okay. Any other questions?
no, can you hear me now, Joaquin?
Yes, sir.
That was an absolutely great demo. The tool handling was superb. I loved it. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Oh, hey, let me mention one other thing. While I've got you here. So I don't know how many of us use Thompson gouges or not, but the grind in here where they cut the gouge is rough. I've found two solutions for that. The Sorby Pro Edge, you can buy a little, what they call it, a honing disc that goes on the end of the motor. And when it's on, you just hold your gouge right here and just feed that inside right along there, and you polish about the first 16th or 32nd inch. So every time I sharpen, the first thing I do is just polish the inside, and then I come back and sharpen, and that takes care of it. The other thing that I've found is just take a piece of 220 or 320 sandpaper and just roll it like you may have done 20 years ago, and just do this. And you can hone that little lip right there and clean that up. And I get super fine cuts off of this 5/8 inch bowl gouge.
Got to do it. Otherwise, you got a serrated steak knife.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it under a microscope, it's horrible. But if you hone this inside edge, but I have found even with my Sorby 3/8, that I find myself doing the same thing, because as you sharpen it, you're still rolling up a burr. That's a problem. If that's even with this, as I sharpen it, that can roll up a burr. So if I come back with 240 or use the honing wheel and just clean that little bit up, it takes care of that little issue. Oh, that's all for me tonight. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Joaquin.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated, buddy.
Thanks,
All right,
Joaquin.
Eddie. We're going to come back to you here, and then we'll go and do a couple galleries.
Now that was a demonstration. I mean, we watched it. I mean, he did what we asked to do, showed technique and offsets and everything, and how to hold it. He held it, he turned it, he got it done, showed you a couple of tips and tricks, and he gave credit to the folks who taught him. And that's why we're here every Wednesday night. So you got an idea like that, we want to see it. And oh yeah, by the way, we got to 98 or 99 members on board tonight, which is pretty good for us. That's where we like to be, but we can't be there unless you invite a friend. So why don't you invite a friend, invite your club, tell them to come on in, and you can belong to more than one wood turning club, and you can join meetings each week. Leave when you have to leave. Come back when you can. Share what you've got. Pardon me, if you got gallery, throw it in the chat and let us see what you have. We'll get about 40 minutes before we do the formal ending of the show. And I said a formal ending of the program because we keep going after that. It becomes an actual wood turning session after that. It's not a BS session. That's not what it does. We actually talk wood turning, and we share a lot of ideas. We have professional turners that are in their shop, and they'll go get gizmos and gadgets and tools and parts and pieces and further expand on what people like Joaquin just showed us, and share their ideas. And what you just seen, you'd have to pay for that IRD everywhere else except here. That's right, because it's all free. And I appreciate y'all coming in. It kind of makes my week. I can't read the chat when I'm doing this. I really can't. Y'all put some stuff in that thing that's really terrible. But I do know we got a couple of IRDs popping up in here for our members that are doing programs in the next couple of days or a week or so, and I'll throw them in there. Some of them have departed this evening. We know Cade has to take care of cash, but he was in here early tonight. Cade does IRDs. It's Cade Boger out of Montreal. He does some great IRDs. If you ever want to work with somebody or watch somebody work with a SKU that really, really make you wonder, you got to watch one of his IRDs. It's absolutely fantastic. And he doesn't miss a beat. If something goes wrong, he shows you what you should do in your shop. You keep going till it's right. And it turns out some fantastic artwork. More than that, for those of you who sell material, he turns out some absolutely beautiful sellable material, which really does help. If we have any cannons up tonight, I'd like to see those cannons come up in the gallery tonight. The cannons, it is our celebration of the 4th of July, which is coming up on this Tuesday. And we'd like to see your little celebration camera. And I see Kate's still along with us. I'm trying to watch the overall screen at the same time. But if you have a cannon to show us tonight or any other turnings that you may have, would like to see them, just throw it in the chat. Let's get on over there. And Dane, do we have anybody in the lineup right now?
Yeah, we got Mr. Harbor here. Hey, Matt.
Oh man, look out! He looks happy.
Hey guys.
He must have had a good week last week.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the gallery from Ron Campbell's Hands-On Retreat. I thought that there was a really extraordinary representation of the pieces and instructors there. It was great fun. I had loads of fun. The only thing I have to show tonight, one of the guys who was there turning was a guy by the name of Jim Williams, who's out of near Ottawa in Canada, and he makes mini hats. And this is one of his mini hats.
Cool.
So this is turned. This is ambrosia maple. It's turned, and then it turned very thin, and then it's put on the lathe, and you can see how thin it is. So
Yep,
and he brings the wood blanks in buckets that are full of water. So this thing is sopping wet when you turn it, and over the next and you turn it so thin, and then he has these little frames that you put them in, and there's rubber bands that bend it, and you leave it sit overnight, and it dries and stays that way. So
very cool.
But yeah, it is very cool. And
can you show us how to do it, Matt?
I've watched the demo like 3 times, but I've never done it myself. So I could try, but I'm not sure. And I don't think I have any wood that's that wet. So.
Put it in a bucket.
Maybe that would work.
No. Water. Put it in the water will retain the moisture in the wood. It won't replace the moisture in the
Won't
wood.
add water.
Ah,
Right.
Well,
It's a
I
science.
do have some-
That thing is
I
a
do-
science. And Matt, when you do it, you'll never forgive yourself for not have done it earlier. That's a gorgeous piece.
yes.
Yeah, it is, and it's pretty cool because these little burn lines here, they're burned on the lathe. So he's using another piece of wood to do those little burn lines, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, I do have some box elder here in my yard that is going to come down here, and I'm going to try and score as much of that as possible. And it's sopping wet. I took some of that up. I don't know if y'all saw the pictures from one of my classes where we were making offset bowls. That was from that box elder from one of those trees. So I could try and save some of that and see if I can make a hat or two from that and see if I can get it to work. Jim Williams is this guy's name. He has a video on YouTube somewhere about how he turns these and his little jig for bending them. So if it's something you want to try, he can show you how to do it. He's got a video on YouTube. So, but he's a great guy, and he travels with Lionel Bedard, who is an unbelievably hilarious gentleman, and the two of them together are like a comedy team from somewhere. So, and Lionel was a great turner, but in himself too. But it was a great week, and I hope you guys enjoyed the gallery bit from last week too. So,
yeah, some cool pieces. Appreciate it.
I saw a photograph of where you were at lunch at the Hog Pot.
Hop Hog, it's called HOP-HOG. Yeah, it wasn't lunch; it was dinner. But yeah,
I like the name of that restaurant. I'd be looking for that place.
They have great barbecue, and I lived in Texas for a while, and so I'm familiar with what great barbecue is. So
yeah,
it's in that tradition.
Now you want to go outside?
Yeah, and somebody just posted a video of Hannes Mikkelsen doing a cowboy hat. It's on Tim Yoder's YouTube channel, and a demonstration on doing a cowboy hat would be nice. The fastest I've done one for a demonstration was about 4 hours. So we don't run that.
It's not a simple process. I mean, Jim has it down to a science, but it's not a process. Thank you, Robert, for posting those video links.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a full project. It's soup to nuts, intense. But once you do it, you are hooked. Thank you, Matt. That was a beautiful thing. And I think that's the video I watched with him burning it in using different colors of wood to do the bands we talked about earlier before you joined us this evening, because
it's interesting that Robert posted the link to Johannes Mikkelsen, because in the first Ron Campbell's Hands-On Retreat, Johannes Mikkelsen was the guy who was there, who also he did hats then too. So I've seen both of these guys turn hats. So
yeah, and
you can do that for us then.
Yeah, it's.
I want to make
awesome.
a couple first before I commit to doing one.
Okay, and then venture out and do a ball cap. Think cowboy hats. When you do the ball cap, then you're the king of the hill. That's it.
Well, the ball cap is just a cowboy hat carved. So yeah, I understand how that works. So
yeah, but whatever you do, don't simplify it. All right. Thank you, Matt. It's good to see you back this week.
Thank you.
A lot of beautiful stuff came out of Campbell's meeting last week.
I'm pretty seriously inspired by all the stuff I saw there. So I spent 2 days turning today and yesterday. So I got things in the works.
All right, good. Hey, Brenda, while I have you here, Brenda's back. Correct, Brenda? Brenda here?
Yes.
Brenda, why do you keep sending me money?
I just sent it to you one time.
No, Brenda, I have a payment on PayPal. I had a payment before that. Now I have this payment.
Oh, okay.
She's worried. Brenda, I'm on a hook here for this. You may need an explanation pretty soon.
Well, I didn't realize I'd done it before, and now I didn't see that it went through the PayPal. And
Oh,
so I just wrote you a check and mailed it.
well, okay. You want more stickers? You want me to throw this away? What you want to do?
Send me 1 pack of the 10 stickers, and we'll donate the other 2 then to SWAT.
We got that. That's where it's going to go. That's it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I got
Thank you,
some
Eddie.
explain. I got some explaining to do, Lucy. I got some explaining to do. All right. Thank you. And that's the stickers we're talking about. We had stickers made for the club. They're about 3 inches diameter, and they'll stick on anything. And if you put them on your lathe, you guarantee reduced catches and you get better sanding. That's just all we can guarantee at this time.
And now I'm not going to turn again until I get my stickers.
Okay. Well, there's a pack that went in the mail again today for you.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the outgoing mail. You and Brent, Heather. Yeah, so you and Heather had envelopes going out of here. And I have to take those to the post office personally because, like, nah, me and the post office don't talk. So that's it. Anybody else? We just don't talk. Anybody else with gallery tonight? Pop it up there, show us what you have, and let's talk about it. We got about 25 minutes before we pull the plug on the main meeting. And I'd like to see what you folks have been turning. It's interesting each time. And oh, the John Williams video went up. I didn't realize that got posted also. Thank you, Bob Hodge. You guys are jumping in here. This is why we have this, right? This chat thing. That's why Donald Masterson in Australia says save the chat, because all these things we talk about in the chat right there on the side of the screen. And if you wonder, I wish I could written that down. You don't have to written it down. It's right there. So you save the chat, click on the 3 little dots, save chat, and it saves it on your computer, and you have it.
Hey, Eddie.
Oh, if you're not in our contact list, put your contact information, which I'll be right with you, which you wish to share with the other members of this club. See, we don't have a membership directory. We don't really have a directory. We don't really have a membership. We have you. And if you only share the information on how to get a hold of you, say I want to get a hold of Dane. I want to know how to send them a package or whatever, or Brenda, or David Edwards. If I want to get a hold of one of you folks, how do I do? Oh, I'm going to go to my contact list. I can request a copy by going to contacts on our webpage, and you fill out the form exactly like it asks. And then a minute or so later, Dave Rose will email you a current version of the contact list, which will have all those names and whatever they share. It's not a commercial list. You're not going to find advertisements on it. You're going to find people just like you and I who want to say, hey, I'm Eddie Castle on Big Eye Productions. This is my phone number, my address, my email. I'm 3 doors down from the corner. And I got a big tree in the front yard. Whatever I got to share with you, that's what's going to be on that list. And that's why we want you to be part of it. So go there. Somebody said, hey, Eddie, and I didn't catch who it was.
That's Dave George from Minnesota. And I just had a question for the group, you and the group, in regard to coring systems. I picked up a number of large logs that I've prepped up for bowl blanks, but every time I start, turning those large bowls, I end up with a lot of fire starter in plastic bags because all that middle is shavings. And I know I've seen some of you on there with coring systems, and I'd like to know the pros and cons of that, and what if you're going to buy one, what should you be looking for?
I've had 2 of them, and the one way I've had the one way and the other, and I can't do the name. I don't know why, but and the McNaughton. I found my one way I could, and I didn't mean to, but I could horse the one way a little bit more than the McNaughton. Had them both, loved them, found nothing wrong with them. I did find out that the magical thing that I missed when I first got it was graph paper. Yep. Simple sheet of graph paper, because you have to draw out what you want to cut out. And you have to draw it out in full size. And then you got to follow what you drew. the points and all, because otherwise you realize that that swing point, that one right there, that one really, it didn't line up the one over there, because the one over there brought the tip over to here. And then if the tip is over here, it comes out over there. And if it comes out over there, then you don't, well, the bottom came with it. So you made a funnel. But I liked the one way the most. Unfortunately, when I was ill 9 years ago or so, the family that cleaned up the shop and all the junk and trash thought those buckets of bent iron things were, well, they were scrap iron. So I lost both of them and a couple of other, the shop made in a store-bought spear jigs and threading jigs and things like that. So, but all of them came from ideas from folks like you. I made my own coring tools using heavy gauge weldable steel pipe, not regular steel pipe, a weldable gauge grade steel pipe, and made my own cutters, put tips on them. I learned how to braze to put tips on them. Because if you look at how something's made and you just take a little time at it, don't rush into it, take a little time at it, it'll pop up. But I did like the one way making any. I bought a lathe that had another one with it. That's a tool I liked. I do see that there's a couple of knockoffs, getting close to the quality of those two, but I wouldn't spend the money to save the money. I would buy the good one right off the bat. It's not, to me, it's not a step up toy. It's a go in. And you won't be sorry when you do it, really. And
they're not cheap.
No, but they'll jump on any machine. They will. But it's an art. When you do it, Dave, be sure you have a lot of patience and a lot of junk wood. And I mean junk.
I have
the junk.
plenty of wood, and I just get tired of putting shavings on the floor when I figured if I could pour it out and get another bowl or two out of it, it may be worth the investment. But I'm just starting to investigate that right now.
It's good to do a bowl and a bowl and a bowl. And it's not bragging things. It's a bowl and a bowl and a bowl. It's a piece of art. Danny, didn't I see you do a 4? Have you done a 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 stack. Four stack. Now that's folks, that's where when people talk about art and wood turning, that is art in wood turning. Art's not the frings and the bambos and all the other stuff. Art is when a man goes into a shop and takes tools, his know-how, and his wherewith, and actually does something like that. He took a log and turned 4 bowls out of one center of a log. 4 usable pieces. And if it's right, they're all going to be the right piece. They're all going to have the beautiful grains, and they look stacked up like book match. It's beautiful. So anybody else? Pardon?
I said, and then he dyed them.
Oh yeah. That's the one that gets the full mantle. You lay those out on a on a good
showpiece.
Yeah,
Showpiece.
you never stack those up.
I just have to say
real
something.
quick, Eddie. Go ahead.
I just have to say something on bowl savers. If you don't know anything about it, get whatever kind they recommend, whatever. But I would really suggest getting a lesson from somebody that's at least knows how to make one coring out of something. Just starting out, I learned the hard way, and I'll tell you that there's a lot of things could have happened. I just recommend find somebody that knows how to do it and take it one afternoon. I think you'd be well worth it.
Dave, on your next trip through,
Yes,
you have to spend an afternoon with me.
I would be glad to do that, and I appreciate the offer.
You bet.
You'll love
Okay.
it.
Okay, we're taking a few more road trips yet this summer, so we're heading back down to see family down in your neck of the woods. So I'll get hold of you.
Yeah.
Sounds
And if you
good.
pop up
Yeah,
to Canada, pop on by.
Kate, appreciate that.
And don't forget
You're welcome,
You're
Dave.
even closer.
don't forget the graph paper. Really,
Right.
can't plot
So-
if you can't plot out. It's like putting a stake in the ground before you build the building. You got to put your stake in the ground when you get into this.
I gotta
So
say
real quick-
also, Kim
Go ahead,
Tip,
Brenda.
real good video on it on YouTube too.
Who?
Kim Tippin.
Oh, cool.
Kim Tippin, don't we know that? We know that name, don't we?
Vaguely.
It's a little firestorm gal down in Florida, huh? We got to see how.
Hey,
We got to find
appreciate
out how
all the
she's making
information.
out.
Appreciate the information and support. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Definitely.
Got to see how Kim's making out. We haven't talked to her in a while.
So as y'all know, for the Facebook page, for membership, for new members being able to get in, there's a series of questions that have to be answered. Of course, we got group rules now. And so I thought I'd share one of the questions that I get some interesting answers on. So I got a few answers on one of the questions. And so one of the questions is, if you can hold it, you can what? And so one of the answers was drop it. Another one was sharpen it. Another one is break it. Another one is stroke it. And then the final one that I found amusing was, oh, wait. So just a little bit of humor from the group admittance questions. I'm just keeping the log, and I'll share the funny ones with you. You know, trying to going forward for each of the meetings. You know, share a few of the funny ones off the three different questions we get. So
If you can hold it, if you can hold it, you can turn it. It's filters out the
that's the
trash.
answer, right? That's the answer. So, but we got a couple more. We got a couple more gallery.
Where are we going?
Let's go to them. So we got Bill Luce. Hey, Bill.
Good evening, all. I'm a little nervous about doing this because the last time I showed one of these, it wound up being a challenge, but there is a butternut crotch bowl.
That's pretty.
Nice.
What's the
Nice.
Butternut, huh?
Little bit of, you can see where the branches broke off here. You can
Right.
see that not real strong wood in the middle, and the back is a bit gnarly and a little bit of bark on the edge, but
Real pretty.
I like it. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
How did that turn?
This was, I think, Mr. Chandler put a demo on of turning a crotch about a year and a half ago. That's
about
where I did
that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and the second piece is a little hollow form of big leaf maple from the West Coast, undercut from the inside, a little pedestal under it, and
very nice.
Big ring in the top. Yeah.
Very
nice.
Nice lines. Nice clean lines.
Yeah.
Yes.
job,
What kind of
Bill.
finish you got on that?
Pardon me?
The finish?
The finish on this is wipe on poly. Many coats. The finish on this is CA glue, because I'd use CA glue on here, and there's a little bit of CA glue, and there's also some epoxy in this groove in the center. So this is wipe on or CA glue.
Very nice.
Prevents that CA stain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, that's it for
Well
tonight.
done.
Thank you.
Well done. All right, let's go to Kurt Cat. Kurt, you still there?
Talk to us.
Kurt?
I don't believe he's on.
Not there.
Middle left.
All right. Let's go to, no, Kate's here. Cade, talk to us.
Hey, I'm right here.
I got you.
One going. Hey, everyone. Hope all is well.
Howdy.
Uh, so I have a couple things to show. Couple weeks ago, I did a demo. I did turning brass and aluminum finials with an Asian inspired box. So I'll show the piece that we turned in that. Here is one I think I showed last week. This is ash that was dyed yellow with a brass finial. Not quite shiny enough. Pardon?
I'm sorry, and perfect grain match.
Yeah, perfect grain match. There it is right there.
Beautiful.
There we are. There's the inside. Not quite shiny enough yet. Been busy with family work, trailer, enjoying summer. But here's another one I did as a practice run before I did the one in the demo. This one I did out of Spectraply. Spectraply. There's the grain match there. Oh, there it is.
Perfect like always.
What
With
kind
a
of tool do
brass.
you use? What kind of tool do you use to cut the brass?
Regular old turning tools I use for the wood.
Is it gouge?
Yeah, spindle gouge, detail gouge.
Yeah.
Or a skew. You can use a skew too. Yep.
Okay.
Here's the one I turned in the live demo. So I always give them a choice of which wood to choose, which metal to choose. If we're going to color it, what color schemes would you like to see? So this is what the overall general crowd chose. I had apple, ash, a tulip poplar, and a olive ash blank. And they chose the tulip poplar because we were going to dye it, make it into a firebox.
Beautiful.
And then they also chose the color scheme because it was tulip poplar. It's pretty plain wood, pretty boring wood. So it's really nice for embellishment, coloring, texturing, burning, pyrography, inlaying, many aspects of embellishment. So they came up with a two-tone, wanted to do a two-tone color. So I showed them one I did in fire sort of schemes similar to this one. And this is the box that we turned. And then we played with some color to make it look like fire. Once it's shined up, that will really pop. And I'll show it again.
Beautiful.
A little dull right now, but it only has one coat.
What do you use for color?
Chestnut spirit stains. Yeah.
Okay, you use CA or do you use epoxy to put the brass on the wood?
Epoxy.
Epoxy, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the United States in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably all kinds of
Oh boy.
countries and
I want some of that,
continents
Brenda.
So that was fun. Played with some color. Here's the two colors I used. They were red and yellow. I like using these because they're repeatable right out of the box. I don't dilute them or modify them in any way because if I need to use it again or touch up the same piece in some way, I want it to be repeatable straight out of the container. Now you can get food color dyes, you can get water-based dyes, alcohol dyes, many different types of dyes. You can get aniline dyes that you mix yourself. And as long as you mix them in a large portion, keep them in a container, they're repeatable. But if you mix them batch to batch, it's tricky to get them the exact same colors. And then last but not least, I have a friend who gave me a whole bunch of sugar maple. He was having some health problems and he wasn't sure if he would get around to turning the sugar maple that he had lying around. So I said, oh, sure, I'll take it. I can use it. So as soon as I got home, I had a couple hours before I had to pick my son up from daycare. So I whipped off 4 live edge bowls. They're all silver maple. So here's one. This one has
Nice.
some burl on the one side. The pith is still intact all the way through these pieces. This one is turned to roughly a 1/16 of an inch, but with the burly side, it really gave it some color. It almost looks like an eye with a little grumpy mouth with a little France mustache, so to speak.
See a sailboat.
Yeah, sailboat.
Yep.
It's
An
a
angry
beluga
salamander.
whale. It's a beluga whale.
He's got
Yeah,
one
Yeah, that
thing.
works too. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
beluga whale. So yeah.
Kate,
I would-
Kate, you have heard that there's a new group starting up, that people who turn things very thin, a 1/16 of an inch, that they're doing it all wrong. So they're starting a new group that it should be at least 3/8, if not up to 1/2 inch.
Yeah, each their own. People can make them as thick as they like. Me personally, I like thin stuff.
Yeah.
But nothing's
Kate,
wrong.
Kate couldn't make anything that thick.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to do anything that thick. I think my max is maybe 3/8 or 3/8 would be the max. Normally an 1/8 to a 1/16.
Wow.
Here's another one. These were pretty cool logs. They were quite squat and then long. So they do have the pith intact. Almost looks like a little alien guy on that side. As it was growing on a hill, so it had quite a lean, and that's why it was squashed, and the pith is really off to one side or the other. This one has some really nice chatoyance in it.
Yeah, it does.
ET found home.
Yeah, looks like ET or another Martian. Maybe a smiley face of some sort. So that one's an 1/8 of an inch. And then this one, this has some nice chatoyance in it as well. It's not quite shiny yet, so it's hard to really see the chatoyance pop. But once it's done, and it was from the same piece that was squished. There it is there.
Do you glue the bark?
No.
Okay.
No. The oil that penetrates and seeps in, it solidifies the cambium layer in the bark to the sapwood. But I mean, it has to dry properly. It has to season properly. You have to get it in the right time of the year so the sap's not flowing. In the winter months, it's best because the sap isn't running freely. In the summer, the first thing that comes off the bark off the wood as it dries is the bark, right? So if you get it in the winter, it's not so full of sap. So when it dries and it cures, the bark stays on it. Also, if you're too aggressive or you have dull tools or you're turning uphill rather than downhill, you'll push that bark right off of that bowl. So there's many different ways to keep it on there. But these were fairly dry. These were cut and dry since 2020. So I didn't have to stabilize it. I didn't have to glue it. I didn't have to dry it slowly in many different ways. You can dry stuff slowly to get a higher success rate. So this was just turned yesterday morning, 1 coat of oil. And tomorrow morning, I'll probably do 6 or 8.
Oh, they're beautiful, Cade. Beautiful.
And then here's the last one. And this one might be 3/16. That's probably pushing it to the thickest I would go.
Gorgeous.
But they'll really pop once they're shined up. So that's it for me and during the end of the meeting there, After Joaquin's demo, I threw on a crotch piece. Great demo, Joaquin, by the way. I threw on a crotch piece. So here's the crotch piece. It's like a little heart shape.
Yeah.
Neat.
This is also silver maple that has the pith intact on either side. It will be a heart-shaped bowl. I haven't done the inside yet, but just by the way I cut the crotch and I'm turning it, it will be heart-shaped. And this cool little knot nubby thing on the side, I'm gonna have that in the rim of the bowl, partially in the rim of the bowl, sort of as
It's gonna be a nice
Like a
eye.
lantern. Like, yeah.
artistic feature of the piece.
Yeah.
But it has some beautiful feathering and figure
Mm.
throughout the wood. It's hard to see with my lighting, but I got to dust those lights off a bit. But once I get finish on it, it will really, really pop that chatoyant. So
Gorgeous.
yeah,
I can't wait to see that one finished.
that's it
Valentine
for me.
March for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Once it's done, my wife might claim it, so we'll see. But yeah, I'll show that finished piece next week. So
Great.
any questions? No.
Nope. Thank you very much.
Great, Ken.
Thanks, Dane. Thanks, everyone.
All right, Eddie, go back to you for closing
You.
ceremonies.
Wow. That's all
Thanks,
you
Eddie.
could say about an evening like this. Wow. Some of that work we've seen, the art we've seen tonight, the techniques, the stuff. And guess what? It was all right here, free. And you can always throw something in a pile if you'd like to. This is going to continue on. I normally duck out at 9 p.m. Central.
Ooh. Eddie, next week,
Hey.
real quick, Eddie. Next week, I will be out of loop. I won't be able to start the meeting.
We'll have to talk about
Okay.
the protocol because I think I have everything still in the book.
Okay.
And
Okay.
but we can do that. We can do that. No
Yeah,
problem.
I'll
I've
let
got-
Trey, I'm gonna let Trey know as well, but I wanted to let you know while I had you FaceTime, so.
Yeah, it might be an interesting time for me to be on
We'll figure
camera
it
this
out.
week. They're gonna
We'll
have me
figure
in
it
they're gonna have me in the EEG helmet next week. They're watching. For some reason, they believe there's a wave happening in my brain, or there's a wave or something. But you know, I get to spend a couple of days with the special helmet. I just can't wait to go to a restaurant wearing it. Should get a good
Right.
discount. All right, wait. Next week we'll have a great demonstration.
I'll get a hold of Trey tomorrow, so.
Yeah. Now, wearing that'd be just like asking Brenda to describe what's on a bowl, And Brenda, what do you see here? Because we had so much fun with that and see a lot of things, and y'all keep enticing her. That's the deal. What was the thing tonight? Like look like a flat salamander was one of the items they might have saw, and the thing. Well, we see it all. We've seen it all right here because of you. So if you got something to add, gotta say this. It's your club. We put the tailgate down every Wednesday night. Bring a friend. Please bring a friend. Come on out and join us. We believe we have some of the finest woodturners in the entire world. And we're all sitting out here wanting to share, just getting together. We've done this 195 times tonight. And we're getting pretty good at it. And we want you to be back with us again next Wednesday night. Until then, in the words of Safety Sue, be safe. Donald Masterson says, save the chat. And above all else, keep turning. I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. I'm going over here, save the chat just now. Just saved it. It's going to be in my computer. Now, what are you talking about, Dane? What do you got? What's on tonight?
Dave, just for a minute,
Sure.
can you,
Go ahead, Gary.
can you cancel me when it's time to stop it so I don't have to sit here? I need to go
Yes,
to bed.
yes. Yeah, not a problem. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're good, Gary. I'll take care of you. Yeah, so I don't know what's going to be on the topic tonight. I don't know. Might talk about my first turning since being back home and, not having turned anything in the last 2 months and just jumping off into the deep end instead of doing something simple.
What'd you do?
Well, I hadn't made an intersecting twist box in forever. So chucked up a piece of wood yesterday and started working on one.
I saw a
Yeah, I
little
saw
video
that.
on that.
And
So I think my comment was something like diving into the deep end of off-center turning.
Right. So, yeah, so I learned about Barbara Jill from Joaquin. So I've got to look her up. But
Not from me.